Hello, everybody, and welcome to the fourth episode of True Neutral, a live tabletop fantasy RPG based on cinematic realism. Our episodes 1, 2, and 3 were recorded on Saturday. That's why we're doing 4 today. If you want to access those, we have them archived here on our Twitch channel, so check that out. You guys are ready to do your character intros?
Hey guys, I'm Jake. I'm playing Allistaire, an ex-assassin who is masquerading as a man named Gideon.
And I am Kiefer, and I'm playing Griffon. He's a human plainsman. And the rest of our stuff is on our website, right?
Mm-hmm. I'm Caitlin, I'm the DM. I always forget to do that. Alright, so what happened last time, the very, very last episode we did, was you guys right now are in Crescent Keep, and you each have your own reasons. You were seeking out the Black Court. You were summoned by Prince Ezra Vath up to the palace, and while you were there, he told you he wanted you to go and fetch a massive black diamond called Agora's Rock for him. And in exchange, he would give you the jewels of Algrenon, which you need for that crown. So, you thought about doing this. You weren't entirely sure this is what you wanted to do, but you kept it in mind. At some point, you went and you paid a visit to Eckel Honeyfingers, a Fey shopkeeper, owner of the Silver Spoke. While you were there, she broke the divining rod that Ezra Vath gave you that was specially tuned to the diamond, from what you know, to find it. And then she ported you to Shornwood and left you there. You messed around a little bit, managed to get back to Crescent Keep, and you got a house. Forgot to mention that. It's important that you guys have a base of operations there. You have a house there. You went to pay Mentha the blacksmith a visit. While you were there talking with her, a mysterious man showed up, and he left a package with Radu, the Ash'Semail elf. He brought the package over, you opened it up. It contained a divining rod made of what looked like a Fey's antler, plus the port crystal that Eckel had taken from you. So, that's where you are right now, explaining this whole situation to Radu and Mentha in the confines of their small, humble, closed-off home.
So I am sitting at the table with Radu, and there's only the 2 chairs, right?
Mm-hmm.
I believe that you're sitting, yes.
I do believe the last thing that happened is he agreed to do whatever was necessary to get Eckel back from the prince.
It sounded like it. He has definitely shown some reserves about swinging in there and
As soon as we brought up the prince.
yes, he obviously has reserves about that, but clearly is concerned for Eckel.
Well, to reiterate, to get to the prince, we might have to kidnap the princess. He cares for her deeply.
This is out of game, right?
No?
You said he, so I assumed it was.
The prince.
I'm already confused. What did you say?
The prince cares for the princess dearly.
Oh, you're saying this to Radu?
Isn't this the last thing we ended on?
I don't believe so.
Okay. Would you like to then?
Sure, I'm pretty sure the last thing you said was, we kidnapped the princess. That was a general idea that you ended on.
Okay. So, we kidnapped the princess.
And everyone at the table kind of looks at you because it's, I wouldn't say a ludicrous idea, but it's really out there. And even Radu is quiet for a moment. but he does not seem as shocked as Mintha does, who sits back in her seat and regards you both as though you're insane.
I'm not sure that that's the greatest idea.
It's something to consider in the background, Radu.
His eyes are shifting around as though he's thinking, and his thin lips part, and he says, "Why did he take Ekel?"
She involved herself.
His head cocks, and he gives you a look as though to say, "Continue."
Whenever the prince asked us to find the Black Diamond, I went to Ekel to ask for her help. She broke the item that we were supposed to use to find the diamond. And I take it he did not take it too kindly.
Radu's brows arch, and he says, "Diamond?"
A magical item of power that the prince wants.
His mouth sets on a hard line, and he sits backward in his chair. He's going to be quiet for a little while.
I say we find the diamond. And have patience to see how the prince reacts.
What can you learn while we're gone?
Radu looks up at you, and blatantly ignoring your question, he says, "The prince wants this diamond. This diamond is powerful. He doesn't go get it himself.
It's dangerous."
Radu's eyes narrow, and he gets a calculating look. He says, "You could fail.
We could.
Ekel would die.
She would.
He sits up and sort of leans forward very seriously on the table and looks hard at both of you. And he says, "Go to the wizards." And his mouth is kind of quirked as though in distaste. And he says, "You learn what you can, so that you don't kill my friend." He says, "I will learn what I can."
Then it's settled. But before we go, and I'll look over at Mintha.
She looks at you.
This might be more important now than ever. Do you have an altar?
Radu cuts his eyes at you. Mintha ignores him. She nods, seriously. She stands up.
I'll stand up with her, and I'll go to follow her.
Sure. She leads you upstairs. They're going upstairs. And she guides you to a small cupboard in the sparse bedroom upstairs and opens it up. And inside there is a very small, sort of dingy statue of a man holding a shield and a sword with a cape billowing up behind him. And there is dark stained blood all over it. There is a small ceremonial-esque knife beside it and a small bowl.
I'll take my maces off,
Mm-hmm.
and then I cross them on the floor.
Okay.
And then I'll do what I think the ceremony is with her guidance.
Sure.
I'll blood myself on the statue.
So, she has you cut a slice into your palm, hold it over the statue, dribble on it, and then she guides your hand and she does it over your weapons as well. And then she takes a small strip of cloth and wraps it around your hand. Back downstairs, Radu has not said a word and is staring rather eerily in his intent at the tabletop. And his lips are kind of curled back, and he's in contemplation, running his tongue along his filed teeth.
I'll take a seat and just sit in silence.
Sure. Footsteps down the stairs. Mintha and Griffon appear again. He has a bandage over his hand.
Are you ready? I'll stand up and begin walking out.
Okay. Now,
I'm going to wrap up the wand.
okay. You got your crystal in your bag,
Yeah.
I'm guessing? All right.
Does Radu do anything when I go to wrap it up and take it?
He watches your hands. I mean, he doesn't say anything, stand up. He stays where he is.
So I'll be careful not to touch it right now, but I'll wrap it up and then put it away in my pack. And then I will follow Gideon.
Okay. And you are headed to
The college.
college, correct? All right. Wanted to test something.
I don't think I'll have anything to say to you all the way over there. It'll probably seem like I'm in quiet contemplation. Maybe more so than usual.
Right. What time is it at this point? It's morning, is it not?
No. I believe maybe morning, because the last thing I said to Mintha was to have her come to my place to lock
Oh, yeah, that's right.
later that night.
So it's like evening.
I told her to come after work, so it was like morning to afternoon.
Afternoon-esque. Okay.
Okay.
That makes sense. You're headed to the college. Streets are packed with people, as usual. You're seeing more and more exotic faces as you pass through. I mean, this city is already exotic as it is, but you see people in really exotic clothing, that sort of thing, with greater frequency. And you wonder if it has something to do with the approaching St. Godwin's Day Festival.
Which is a 10-day and a half away, correct?
Yes, that sounds right.
Before we get to the college, I'll sort of say off to the side, let us not speak of the dragons while we are at the college.
We'll see what happens.
Right. All the way to the college.
Takes us what, half an hour? 40 minutes?
That was the slums all the way to the college.
In the Noble District.
The Noble District is fairly crowded with people. So it does take about an hour to get over there. By the way, it's odd that it's crowded.
Mm-hmm.
The gates to the college are open, but there are guards standing at the gate.
I will approach.
Sure, the two arcane tattooed battle mages regard you.
I pull out my card.
One of them takes it, looks over it, hands it back, gestures you inside.
Does it seem like that includes me as well? Because I'm with him.
I will.
You enter the courtyard. There are students sitting out on the grass.
Who are we going to?
We're going to the library.
Master Myrnin?
No. Just the library.
What do you expect to find in those books that we haven't already read, Gideon?
Whoa, now we're looking for Agora's rock. I will say under my breath.
I'll follow you.
All right.
But let me know if I see Myrnin Sage or any notable figures along the way.
Sure. So, you are at this point within the college. Students are passing back and forth in their long novice robes, books in their arms, chattering. Nothing seems to be amiss here, even with the attack that happened within the city. You head straight on up to the library. The doors are open there. Nobody stops you. Master Philip Wren is sitting behind his desk, that squat little man with a sort of bulbous nose and spectacles, and he's poring over a book, has a quill in his hand. Doesn't even look up unless you go over to him.
Are the sections of the library, like, openly categorized?
No.
I will approach Master Wren.
All right. His face is very, very close to what he's reading, and he does not look up at you.
I'll lightly tap on the desk in front of him.
He jumps and then scowls up at you.
Say, Master Wren?
He sits back and regards you.
I wish to know where I might find some material on Agora.
So, Master Wren's face twists up suddenly, and he holds two hands up as though he's telling you to hush. And he leans forward and says, "Why?"
Personal curiosity.
Personal curiosity. Well, we don't have any sort of recordings on him.
Not even in that little room you took us to that one time?
He gestures again and looks around. And a couple of students have looked up from their books, but as soon as he casts a look over at them, they look back down at what they're doing. He says, "Not everyone is welcome back there."
Then you did us a great honor.
Just be quiet. He closes the book that he has in front of him and then hops down, and you realize that he was sitting on a stool this whole time, which made him about 6 inches taller. And he walks around the counter, and he pulls a ring of keys from his belt and gestures you with him.
I follow.
All right, he leads you up a set of stairs at the back of the room through all of these bookcases. He leads you down a couple of corridors. You make a lot of turns, and you recognize where you're going. Back to that familiar back dusty room. He unlocks that back door, opens it up, and you find yourself in a small room, with a low ceiling, just books and books and books all over the walls. He says, "We have no books recorded on Agora," and you note how he says his name very, very, very softly. What we do have are old scrolls. Now they're difficult to read. Some of them aren't written in any sort of language that even I would comprehend, but if you wanted to satisfy your personal curiosity, you're more than welcome to look at them. They, of course, will not leave this room.
Of course.
He nods, and he casts a small spell. He does a quick gesture with his hands, and he lights a lantern that's been sitting on the floor beside the door, and he hands that to you. The room is, of course, very dark.
You said that these scrolls would be harder to read than the average book? Why don't you go ahead?
I'll nod slowly.
I'll stay here with Master Myrnin. How are you enjoying your recording of that book that I lent you?
Oh, very much so. I've read it 3 times, I should say now. It's not personal curiosity, is it? Why are you looking these sorts of things up? They're very, very morbid.
I'm gonna search real quick.
Yeah, have at it.
$16.
You find a selection of displayed scrolls, all of them very, very old. You have no idea which one is going to contain information about Agora.
I will grab 3.
Okay. You close your hand around one to pick it up and immediately relax your grip a little bit because the paper gives under your hand. Or the parchment does, as though it's very old.
So I'll grab them by the ends.
Gingerly take those. And there are, little tables around where you could spread those things out.
Well, you could say I've gathered an interest in history.
Well, he certainly was a big part of Varenian history.
Varenian.
Of Varene. The
That's a
Northern
different
Kingdom.
Kingdom entirely.
Yes.
North, whereabouts?
North. Most ancestors of Warish are from Varene. We have some Varenian descendants over here, but very few of them, mostly from the Seraphane Empire. Back to you. All right. You're looking
Do that
through.
with those?
You're looking through all of these parchments, and they are not in any recognizable language that you understand. A couple of times, as you're rolling them out, you see a couple, maybe a word that sort of resembles something, in the common dialect of Braddon, but most of it looks to be so old, just archaic languages.
So, I look Ren up and down, kind of like I'm deciding on something.
He lifts his chin suspiciously at you. He says, "Don't look at me that way, Plainsman."
Well, I have the utmost respect for you, Master Ren, and your collection of books.
I should hope so.
I find it my duty to report to you. Someone's looking for Agora's rock.
Agora's what?
The diamond that he stored all of his souls.
I'm not sure I know what you're talking about. Agora's phylactery was not a diamond.
Someone tasked us with finding something called Agora's rock.
Sounds like they've sent you on a wild goose chase. The phylactery was lost many, many years ago, and
I'm gonna get out the bundle with the attunement rod.
he watches you do this. You hand it over to him?
They said this is magically attuned to it.
He reaches out.
I'll ask you, please don't break it.
Why would I do such a thing? Let me see. He takes it from you and holds it in his hands, looks it over. He says it's a very fine piece of craftsmanship. It's antlers or not. He hands it back. He says, I'm not attuned to this sort of magic, whatever is enchanted on this. But Agora's rock does not exist. His phylactery was not a diamond. And again, he's from Mirin. It's even if it, were a diamond, it wouldn't be here.
Gideon, are you finding anything in those scrolls?
You can try. If you would like to try, you have at it.
I'll come back.
Okay, I understand. So you're headed back, hoping after you replace all of those scrolls back on their little holders, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, I thought you were gonna say, oh, I just left them. As you're headed back, you're standing in the doorway, along with Philip Wren. Will you both, well, I should say, would you roll listen? Would you not do anything because you're walking up? Sorry.
Total of 20.
Total of 20. Okay, you hear footsteps in the hallway, headed towards you. And Philip looks kind of over his shoulder and peeks out, and then he steps out into the hallway, and he says, Master Sage, and you see him do a quick bow. Master Sage walks right past Philip Wren, almost brushes him aside, and steps into the doorway. And this room is dark, other than the little lantern that's sitting on the floor beside the door that Philip lit for himself, and then lit from that your lamp. You catch sight of him as he enters. In the darkness of the room, his eyes, those pale, pale green eyes, glow, much like Kovis's. And he's wearing his typical long, trailing green robes, no jewelry at all, which is so strange for a caster. His long, silvery blonde hair is pulled back in a half ponytail, and he has a smile on his face. A fairly warm one, too. He nods at you. He says, is there something I can help you with?
I was actually wanting a meeting with you.
So at this point, Gideon you walked on up, haven't you? You hear all of this, see all of this. Myrnin Sage says, well, of course, right this way. And he turns and glides with his swan's grace out the door.
I'll just look at you enough to see that you're next to me, and then I'll follow him.
All right.
Also stare at the back of your head for a second, and then follow.
Okay. So, he leads you through the library, out the library, and just continues on ahead. He says nothing to you, doesn't look back at you.
Oh, I forgot to say bye to Master Wren. I like him.
Oh, that's fine. He was stunned anyway.
Okay.
He leads you up that familiar set of curling stairs.
Familiar for
Gideon, the curling stairway, and continues on until you don't see any more students in the hallways. And then guides you to a pair of ornate doors, and he pushes them open, revealing that familiar room to you, all the low setting cushions and the long, long table, the big roaring fireplace, and then a desk at the far end of the room, which is unoccupied. The room is empty. No one in here. Myrnin guides you over to the chairs.
Before I come over, this
Sure.
place looks nice.
Yeah, there's a hot set of tea waiting for you all too.
I'm gonna brush off my cloak at the door. Probably should have done it at the entrance to the college, but
Little dirt crumblies fall off. A couple of leaves.
and then I'll join.
Sure. And like I said, there's a tea service waiting. The tea's still hot, as though somebody was ready for you, or ready for anyone. Myrnin takes a seat and seems very, very casual with you. There's none of the strange tightness from the last time that he, I think, spoke to you.
I'll go ahead and sit cross-legged on a nice big oak cushion.
Okay.
I will do the same.
All right. Master Sage regards you as though waiting for you to speak.
Nothing forthcoming from you? I'll take it then.
You wanted the meeting. I will look at you that says this.
Master Sage,
He looks at you.
I hope that you can look me in the eye when I look at you, and when I tell you I am a friend of sorcerers, you will believe me.
He tilts his head. He nods.
And I am on a task that coincides with helping sorcerers.
He nods again.
And I'm not sure how much of this I actually have to tell you.
He smiles a little. He says, "Fear not, plainsman. I haven't dug anywhere I haven't been invited." You've come to ask me something more specific, though. I do know that.
I seek your counsel. Someone in this city wants Agora's rock.
Prince Ezra. He nods. He says, "What is it that you'd like to know?"
Everything.
He averts his eyes and takes a moment as though he's thinking. He says to you, "What do you know of the Lich, Agora?"
That he was a terrible tyrant, took the souls of thousands. I don't know how he was stopped, though.
Agora's rock is a false diamond. It is no true treasure. When it was created, Agora intended for it to contain the souls of others. He had his own phylactery, which has long been lost. No one has any idea where it is. In the end, the rock was his own undoing. He was sealed inside of it himself. Prince Ezra wants this item, and if you've paid him a visit at the palace, which I'm sure you have at this point, you will probably understand why. There's no need for me to explain the Black Court to you, is there?
There is not.
He nods, doesn't look surprised at all. In fact, if anything, he looks a little tired. He says that you seek the jewels of Elgrinnen. Prince Ezra has promised these things to you, has he not? He says the jewels originally belonged to his father. He has them, Prince Ezra. Or, more specifically, we have them. And at that point, Myrnin Sage pauses, reaches forward, casually pours himself a cup of tea, offers tea to the both of you. You don't respond. He pours you tea, pushes it over to you, and he says, Prince Ezra had been stealing from his father for years. And he was able to get away with it because he forced an arrangement on myself and the Archmage. You see, You understand how bonding works, correct? Soul
Yes.
bonding?
A little detail wouldn't hurt for me.
He nods. He says that a black dragon, a mature black dragon, has the ability to bind two souls together. And once they are bound, there is nothing that can break that bond except for that same power of a black dragon. If something happens to one member of the bonded party, they die, for example, the other will die also, because the souls are tethered. Prince Ezra has left myself and the Archmage in a difficult position with that wonderful trick of theirs.
Why is Prince Ezra even still alive? In my dealings with courts, they don't leave heirs alive.
The Black Court is decidedly different than the others. And time spent among the human culture has added to that. Court King Bakhtin Vath has ruled Crescent Keep for a long, long time.
What should we do with the rock?
You should take it to Prince Ezra. You see, as I said, the prince had been stealing from his father for some time, and through that arrangement, you see his face tighten up for the first time in a while. Through that arrangement, we were decided to protect and to shield these things he had stolen. And the only one powerful enough to shield such things from a dragon, a court king, would be our Archmage.
Where is the rock?
Well, that I'm not sure.
We'll find it. But how much does Prince Ezra take your counsel?
Not at all. And you see a profound sadness in his eyes when he says this.
Is it true that he's been stripped of his powers?
Not enough of them, I would say. He can still do much. As I said, the black dragons are soul casters. They can, at once meeting you, follow you. Wherever you should go after that, by a tether. It would not surprise me if he were here in this room with us right this moment.
Well, then I will tell you, and if he is, I will tell him that he needs no longer send any more incentive.
You must ensure that no harm comes to the diamond, and not simply for your friend's sake. The rock, it's not Agora's phylactery, but it does serve as his prison. If anything were to happen to it, his shade would be free.
Who put it where it is?
Heroes of the lost ages. Names long forgotten.
And how powerful was Agora in comparison to, say, a dragon?
I'm not certain how to answer this question at this moment. And you see his mouth work nervously.
Okay. Do you have anything to contain the item?
Contain it.
A means of transportation. I've dealt with an object before that I could not touch with my bare skin.
I have nothing to offer you.
But is there damage that can be done by touching it?
By the lack of groups returned from retrieving it, I would say yes.
I'll pour myself a cup of tea.
Okay. Myrnin looks extremely uncomfortable, and you see him sort of cringe forward and his eyes wince up as though he's hearing something too loud, and then he clears his expression and sort of sits there.
Master Sage?
He raises his eyes to you.
Is it true that you have the power as well to look into the future and the past?
He nods slowly.
And it's tied to the individual that you're looking into?
Yes.
Would you be able to go past birth to around the time?
I can only follow as long as the thread is.
So when the thread starts?
I could perhaps step that far. Not without the Archmage.
If I survive in this task, will you do this for me?
Should I be given permission, I will.
I want to finish my tea.
Okay.
And I guess wait to see if anybody else has anything else to say.
If you have nothing else to say and sit just a few moments longer contemplating what you're going to do, Myrnin actually prompts you to please go and do this. You know, you're not the only ones with something at stake at this moment.
I'll nod and say, wish us luck. And give him a tight smile.
Do you have any small trinkets that we may borrow?
He looks toward the door behind that desk at the far end of the room, and he says, I've not access to them at this moment.
Then we'll make do.
Let's hope. And he gives you a smile twice as tight as Gideon's.
Master Sage. I will stand and begin to leave.
Okay. He does not follow you out.
I'll just
You
nod at
are-
him like I'm thinking about my request for him.
Sure.
And I'll follow.
Okay.
As I'm catching up to you and then going down the stairs, I'll reach into my pack. And before we get into the hustle and bustle of the students, I will cough and then hold out that thing that was around the vampire's neck. And I'll hold it out for you to take. And then I'll say that you seem to be more nimble than I am. You will be the one to get it around any neck that needs to be. Just keep it as an option.
I'll nod.
Sorry,
And-
what did you hand him?
The collar.
Oh, that's right.
Hopefully it's too small for my own.
We will see.
I'll flex my neck.
Okay.
I'll slip the ring on and pull out a piece of fabric and wrap it up
Okay.
and tuck it into my pack.
All right.
Can we say that we stopped at the stairs? Does it echo here?
A little, yeah. What's wrong?
I think I know where we need to go.
Are you doing this in game? Are you looking at me like really excited?
No. As we get out, as we start walking through the hustle and bustle, I would say, I think I know where we need to go. Sorry, that was a little out of character.
Okay.
It's okay. So you're headed downstairs back toward the students, where you can't be, your voice is not going to echo in that lone,
If it's
empty
gonna echo here, then I'm
stairway.
gonna wait until like all the way out. Maybe we're gonna be around a crowd for a while because the noble district is busy as well.
Yeah.
Perhaps
On the stairs, before we leave all of that behind, I will get out the rod
Mm-hmm.
and then I'll hold it in my hand.
Okay.
Okay.
It pulses once, very, very weakly. It's for a moment you actually believe that it might be your heartbeat in your hand, but it's not.
And I'll hold it there all the way up.
Sure.
Should hold it in your cloak.
Oh, I imagine I was like, no, yeah. No, that's more weird than
With
just
your arms
this.
with your arms crossed.
Walk like this. I'm not doing that.
Okay. Fine.
I'll walk with it kind of like slightly hidden by my own arm.
Oh, okay.
Sure.
I understand.
You won't feel it pulse for another 20 minutes. It's almost as though it's a reminder that the thing is alive in your hand instead of an alert.
I'm headed to leave the college unless there's something that you need to do.
Nope. I would say we could go get more potions, but I am light on coin.
I am not.
Well, both of the alchemists that we know, one is dead and one is captured.
Well, I'm sure a city of this size has at least one more, and we could stop quickly. So, I will...
Do you mind if we try and roll search on an alchemist in the market district? I don't want to waste too much time, so are we going towards a gate and looking, or...
I was just going to ask a guard in the noble district. Do we make it out of the college alive?
You make it out of the college just fine. You see nobody that you recognize, no one stops you. Life is going on as usual.
Once we're outside of the college, I want to try and find a guard in the noble district.
Of course. You find one.
I will approach and say, "Good sir, I require an alchemist."
An alchemist. Not an apothecary?
An apothecary.
Okay, he kind of looked you up and down and pegged you as not a caster by your clothes. And he instructs you to go to the market district and sort of a small, squat-looking building. That there's an apothecary there.
Do I remember what Temuj's apothecary looked like?
Temuj was an alchemist. And his was a really narrow, tall, spiked roof of a building.
And then Eccles was really tall and slender.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I want to say that's not like what alchemists' shops are designed as. It's just they happen to be
Those
that
two
way.
were.
Ah, a tall building. Must be an alchemist.
Yeah. No.
Okay, I will thank him.
He nods, goes right back to his business.
He says that there's an apothecary.
I heard. I'm right here.
Okay.
All right.
I guess I'll head that direction.
Thank you for your concern.
You are headed toward the Market District from the Noble District. It's a fair walk. It's about another hour to get over there.
It's perfectly fine. It was funny.
Yeah. Let's see. We can all see this, but I don't know how well everybody else can see this. They are over here in this area.
It's very well
They are
done.
headed like down here. And this is an enormous city, so it takes
If anybody
a while to
just
traverse.
really gets in my way, I'm gonna give them a nice grunt.
People typically don't. They typically don't get in either of your ways. I mean, you both very clearly are armed, and you're both pretty big-shouldered, tall men. You especially. So most people scoot out of your way pretty quick.
As we walk,
I'll give a grunt anyway, just because.
Sure.
should we find Hideoff?
We can try, but there's no telling. He should be fine. Maybe we could check that tavern one last time.
I'm not sure where else he would have gotten off to. Besides the brothel.
Besides that one brothel. Unless you want to go back and talk to those ladies some more.
I think they liked me.
They did.
They all do.
They do.
So I guess we'll stop by the tavern in the Market District first.
Don't invite them to the house.
All right.
No.
I believe they like to do their business in-house.
No.
So you
Do
head
not believe I can take this
to the
one.
tavern. You know, there's a fire crackling there. It's a cooler day, so you know, there's a good fire going. There aren't many people in here who are eating or drinking. They're mostly doing business quietly at their tables, aside from another loud group of merchants. Faye is in here, walking about.
Is Shagal here?
Shagal is here.
What is he doing?
He is actually writing. He has a quill in his hand and is scribbling on a piece of parchment that from a distance looks like a map.
I'm gonna give you a nudge. And then
If you're having the same thought as I am, it's going to be very weird.
what are you thinking? Because I was going to invite him.
I was as well.
Will you, do you want to go with me, or do you want to go ask around about Hideoff?
I say we ask around about Hideoff first. If we can't find our big man, then he will be our replacement.
What's wrong with having two? Or three? Four?
4. Let's see if we can find Hideoff.
I'll follow you for a moment.
I'll flag Faye.
Okay.
I'm just gonna do this nice and quick.
She smiles, comes over to you, and she says, "Before you ask, I haven't seen your companion."
Then I want to go past her to Shagal.
Gideon sees Faye sort of look after Griffin as though she's concerned about him walking on over to the table, but she does not stop him.
I will say, this will be interesting.
She sighs audibly and crosses her arms and watches.
I'll follow Griffin.
Does it look like he already has a drink?
He does. He has a big tankard.
Doesn't matter. I'll call out for another one as I'm walking past her. Like,
If you look over your shoulder at her, she's
Nah.
okay. She's narrowing her eyes at your back anyway. She goes and fetches more drink. Shagal is scribbling away, and when you get close enough to see,
no, I will stay back.
I mean, it's
to
pretty
see if he
big.
gets defensive over the map.
Sure, he does not. I mean, he pays you no mind as you approach. He's not writing any sort of discernible letters that you see. Looks like another shorthand.
Okay, so I'll approach, and then I will stand there for a moment.
He raises his eyes to you. And so this is a big guy. To remind you, he's a big guy. Orc, grayish green skin, these huge matted dreadlocks that are tied back behind his head, big protruding tusks in front. One has a big silver hoop through it in the front. Not big enough for someone to stick their finger in and yank, but it's there nonetheless. His eyes are a really, really pale gray color, which stands out against his dark skin. He has his axe kind of behind him, resting against the wall, or his hammer behind him against the wall, and is not defensive over it, not keeping it close at hand or anything, as though he trusts no one's going to come over to his table, which is pushed up against the wall away from everyone else's. He raises his eyes to you and places the quill in an inkwell with a little travel stopper in it. And he sits up, folds his arms, his big, muscly, corded arms, and lifts his chin at you.
You said you work alone?
He nods.
Every time.
He regards you. He says, "Not every time."
Join me and my companion. We go to find something no one has looked for since heroes of old.
You see a flicker of interest in his eerily colored eyes. He looks at the two chairs in front of the table and says nothing more.
I'll sit down.
All right, at this point you can see the map that he has. It's marked all over, and I mean it's old. It's very worn looking, I should say, not old, and it's heavily marked with ink all over the place. And if you look at the little shorthand writing that's all over it, it matches what he's doing on a piece of parchment, as though this is all his writing. He's done this all over this map. And it looks like a map of the Southern Kingdoms, where you guys are.
As we sit down, I will say, this will pay well,
He's,
if that is what you are interested in.
he says, "I do not mind coin. What do you seek?"
We have acquired an item that points to a powerful magical artifact.
His lip curls a little bit.
I care not for the artifact. I care for completing the task and being rewarded.
He nods. He says, "What is the reward?"
It is unfortunately something that is personal unto him.
The favor of the prince. For you.
"I seek no favors from monarchies."
Coin.
I will place one of my bags of platinum on the table and say, "Your payment will likely come from me."
He hears the clink of coins inside the bag, and he regards it. He raises his eyes back to you.
I'll open it and pull out a platinum, show it to him, and then drop it back in the bag.
Or whatever there is to split in wherever we're going.
He looks back and forth between you.
I don't take many items, just those that really stand out.
He says, "Someone has this item now."
We don't know.
You see him glance back, ever so slightly, to that massive warhammer leaning against the wall. And you get the sense that he would like to smash something with it if he goes with you, and would like the promise of some sort of fight, from what you know, Griffin, of orcs.
And I am looking. I'll just nod, like it's been too long since I crushed a skull with my mace.
As though to double check almost, he says, "This will be a dangerous task,
Most assuredly.
and you will share your coin with me." Loot is free to whoever finds it. He looks back and forth again, and he says, "Perhaps this item as well."
The magical item we are seeking. That is the only thing not on the table.
He sits back, crosses his arms again. He says, "Then you will double your coin."
Well, Gideon, we tried. But it looks like you have things to keep yourself busy with, Shagal.
He sits back impassively.
Come, Gideon. The bards will sing our praises.
I'll slowly rise and pick up my bag,
All right.
making it clear that I'm following Griffin's
When's the last
example.
time you guys ate, by the way?
This morning.
What time is it now? Afternoon or so?
Mhm.
Probably starting
Probably
to feel
about,
it.
probably about time for lunch.
Yep.
Lunch and field rations and stuff for the road.
Sure.
Can we get that here?
Yes, you can. How many days worth of rations would you like to get?
3.
3 pennies. Well, that's, like,
It's kind of like okay food for the road.
yeah, it's like hard biscuits and
Yeah. I'll buy, so it's 3 pennies for how long?
It's a penny a day-ish.
A penny a day? Oh, okay, yeah.
while you guys are eating I'm guessing you're buying lunch also,
Oh, yeah.
or the main meal.
So another penny? Or is it something with meat?
It's meat.
Silver?
It is meat, and it is a silver piece for a bowl. I mean, it's just straight pork off of a pig roasting over the fire. Now, while you guys eat, you do notice Faye go over to Shagal, because, I mean, that's typically where she buzzes around back and forth. And she's talking with him for a minute, and at one point actually sits down at his table with him. You never see that. And he is very clearly sitting up and explaining something to her, and he leans forward and he points to the map, and he's talking about all sorts of things, and then his eyes flick up to you. Faye turns around in her seat and looks at you both, and then you see her head moving as though she's talking. She has her back to you. Shagal's eyes do not leave you.
I'll
And-
raise my glass to him.
All right. Shagal gets up from his chair. And, it's pretty packed in here now that they're serving lunch. It's meat being served. The people that have their tables closest to Shagal's, which, again, his table has the biggest distance between any of the others, and no one sits with him. When his chair slides backward, it makes a sound, and those people sitting closest to him immediately whip their heads around. A couple of them get up and move. He picks up his hammer, and you see him sling it and strap it on. And Faye remains seated at her table, where she is, with her legs crossed, and is regarding Shagal. He comes over to your table. And people, again, as he's passing them, they're getting up, they're moving. Couple of the merchants, the noisy merchants, cringe down. He comes and he stands fairly close to you. You're sitting at like the edge of a long table, so he's able to look at the both of you, stand in front of the both of you. He says, I will go with you, and you will keep your item.
Does 1,000 gold sound acceptable?
He tilts his head. He says, 2,000. And you will leave any large kills to me.
Solely you, or the killing blow?
He smiles, and it doesn't look like a smile. It's actually a little hard to decipher because of those big tusks. It almost looks like a sneer. He says, any large kills.
They're all yours.
He nods and grunts, and
I deal out 10 platinum and slide it across the table to him.
he scoops it neatly into a belt pouch, draws that string really tight, and then he reaches over, grabs a sort of a rickety little chair, and then he sits at the end of your table while the both of you eat. Faye brings over a tankard and a bowl full of meat, sets it in front of him, and she kind of raises her eyebrows and smiles at the both of you.
Oh.
And then she pats him on the shoulder as she passes and goes back around to serving, and he kind of watches her go, but then goes to eating.
We need to look for our lost companion one last time before leaving the city.
I'll kind of turn to you and say, I'm not so sure. We should bring Hyde off.
Idolf walked past Shagal plenty of times before.
You know him best.
He just eats, says nothing.
Where shall we look? For Hyde off,
I know,
that is.
I know. I actually know not, so perhaps
All of the brothels.
I'm not going to all the brothels.
In sequence.
Nope. Or we can just leave. And then if we find them, we find them.
I'm gonna stand up real quick and go upstairs and go to our door and open it.
Sure. You try to push it open, and you open it up. It comes out of a little latch, but you immediately hear it thunk into something else, as though there's something in front of the door. And you can kind of see into the room.
Yeah, do I see anything like hanging around, like on the floor, like around the edge of the door?
Roll spot.
18?
From what you can see, looking into the room from around with the little narrow line of sight that you have, you see something dark and shiny on the floor, like a spilled liquid.
Is there light coming into the room from anywhere?
From the window, yes.
From the window?
There is a glass. It's glass paint, but the glass is very cheap, very swirled. It filters little light inside.
I'll draw my sword
Okay.
and very carefully just tilt the very edge of my head inside of the door.
Sure. There is enough room for you to just barely kind of squeeze your face in to see what's going on in the room. And you see the edge of more of that liquid and the edge of what looks like some sort of strange symbol on the floor.
Okay. I'll listen
Roll listen.
and focus. $21.
21. Okay. Apologies.
So, I'll just go ahead and grunt at Shagal as I finish my meal. And then look up to the ceiling and then just kind of like push the bowl aside and sit here waiting.
Sure. Upstairs, you hear nothing coming from the room. It is dead quiet.
Okay. I'm going to sort of... Sword's in my left hand, so I'll duck my right shoulder down and like grimace against the pain and try and get that door open just a couple more inches. But
Sure.
do it quietly. I don't want to bang around.
That's okay. Roll strength to push this thing open.
6.
Okay. You push on it, and you feel something drag the floor, and it's heavy, and it sounds like wood grinding against wood. And the floor is made of planks, and they're uneven. You know, the foundation's not completely perfect, and so you feel the door catch, and you're assuming on one of those planks.
Okay. I'm going
But-
to listen. How loud is the crowd downstairs?
Downstairs, it's fairly noisy. It's a fair dulled din.
Okay. I'll pull the door closed again, and this time I'm going to shove it open.
Sure. Roll strength.
20.
Okay, so you're doing your left shoulder, correct?
Right shoulder. Because I need my sword in my left hand.
Okay. Wait a minute. You're not doing sword in right hand?
Well, because the door opens this way, correct?
It's hard for me to mirror it back to you. It's
This way.
no, this way.
This way.
This way. Yes.
Oh, well then yeah, okay. I was doing that because if I... Okay.
Okay.
I was thinking of the door wrong. Then yeah, left
Okay.
shoulder. Conveniently enough.
Okay. So you rock a slight step back and then ram your shoulder into the door, and you feel that solid resistance again, and you hear a loud wooden thud, but then something creaks and there's a loud crash. Or listen downstairs, Griffin.
23.
You hear a thump from upstairs, but nobody else around you seems to notice it except Shagal, because you note his eyes flick upward, and he's slowly chewing with like a piece of meat kind of hanging out of his mouth.
You should have been down here by now. Okay. I'll get up.
Shagal wipes his mouth and gives you a slight questioning look as though to ask, should I go with you? Wipes his mouth and stands up. So you are now able to push the door open wide enough to get your body inside, because what's been propped up against what was against the door was a big heavy wooden table.
Mm-hmm.
Now that you can see into the room properly, you see a big symbol on the floor.
Do I recognize it?
You do. It is the same symbol that was on the floor of Regan's room whenever he vanished. The furniture is not in disarray, except for that table, which is over on its side. The symbol is drawn out of blood. It's not as large as the other one that you remember. There's no writing on the walls. There is, however, a scattering of black feathers around this big bloodied symbol. And the symbol is dry, too, in most places. In very few places is it still kind of shiny.
Do I have that similar feeling that I had before? Whenever we went into the room and we got like the temperature dropped. And
You don't
you
feel
sort of
that
feel
here.
Sick. Do I see the rot anywhere?
You can roll to search for it, but right now, just with the casual general view of the room, no.
I'll transfer my sword to my left hand,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't want to go near the symbol, but I kind of want to get down low to the ground and examine it.
Sure. You hear footsteps behind you. 2 sets.
Two
Pretty heavy.
Pretty heavy. I'll put my back to the wall next to the door.
Okay.
So I'll look.
You look into the room.
No, I look down the hallway first.
Okay. You see Hideoff's door open. Correct? You didn't close it, right?
Hmm?
Did you close the door? Or did you leave it open?
Left it open. Why not?
And then I'll just go ahead and call out and like, Giddy.
I'll peek my head out the door, and I'll like tug my chin in.
Okay. Do you have your sword out? Can
You,
I tell
you,
you have
you
your
can
sword out?
actually like see me sheath it.
Okay,
What?
so I'll come in too.
You come in, see the same scene as I described to him.
Just the feathers and the symbol.
Symbol on the floor, almost completely dried,
These look
black
like the
feathers.
the black feathers of the bird that Hideoff had with him. Correct?
These do. Those other feathers that you saw around that really big symbol when Regan vanished, those were huge feathers. Enormous, I mean, that long. These feathers are much smaller. And they do remind you of the raven's feathers, of the feathers of the raven that Hideoff was carrying around with him.
So,
Shagal sniffs distastefully behind you as he surveys this scene.
I'm gonna crouch down and look at the symbol and then like look under the bed and other places.
Sure. Are you looking for anything in particular? Just in general.
A corpse.
Search.
17.
It's a pretty small, sparse room. You don't see anything. Shagal walks into the room, does not step into that circle. You watch him avoid it. He steps around it, crouches down beside it, actually leans over, and you watch his flat, flared nose kind of open and close a couple of times as he sniffs the floor, and he licks his lips and looks upward and says, "Not human." He sniffs again. "Plainsman." He looks at you.
Not mine.
He shakes his head. "Not yours." He gets up. He walks around, and still you see his head sort of bobbing as he sniffs. He crouches by the other end of the circle. And you note that there are breaks in the patterns that are drawn in the blood. And he sniffs half of it, and he declares, "Human."
Does it look like the circle's been broken?
Wait, he said more than 2 types of blood. You said just the 2. Like it's more than it's a plainsman for half of it and a human for the other half.
That's what it seems like.
This thing seems to be.
I'll crush his skull. I'm gonna leave the room.
Sure. You going back downstairs? Or just out into that hallway?
In the hallway.
All right. You step out into the hallway. Shagal continues to walk around the circle, sniffing, and at one point, he looks as though he's going to touch it with gauntleted fingers, and then he doesn't. You see him give a quick, brisk shake of his head, and his tresses sort of flare up, and then settle back down. He stands and refuses to go anywhere near it again.
And it looks like there was a struggle, correct?
No.
Nope.
Just the table you knocked over.
Everything is where it should be. It was strange that that table was against the door, but
I'm
So
gonna
if-
search the room for
If you don't come out, I'll come back in. And I'll say, Adolf and the woman he was with, he came back to this room because we still had this room for the night. Put the table up against the door to keep us out from his good time. The warlock came for the bird.
But why take him?
The bird. He came for the bird. And just...
But why not leave the bodies? Very clearly not hiding anything.
I'm not sure that these are details worth wondering about right now. There's nothing we can do. Can we go? I'm gonna go ahead and leave.
okay.
Hallway, stairs, outside.
Right. You may not notice her. You may just walk right on by her, but you'll notice Faye frowning and watching you come down the stairs. Shagal follows you. I'm guessing you're all leaving, correct, right? Correct, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. She manages to hook Shagal by the arm, and he slows, and you hear him say very clearly, "Don't go upstairs." And then he almost just kind of rolls his shoulder away from her and follows you outside.
And Heidolf had the key to his room, I'm assuming.
What do you do when you get outside? I'm sorry.
Take out the wand, look around, hold it. Wait
Sure.
for him.
You come outside, Shagal comes outside, Faye comes outside. And you hear her talking to Shagal, and she's like, why shouldn't I go upstairs? What's happened? And she looks at you when he doesn't really answer.
By the time she's done talking, I'll have my back turned to her and I'll be facing Griffin. And so while she's talking to Shagal, I'll say, should we tell the college? So they may at least clean up this mess.
Tell Faye to tell the college.
I'll turn to her. Do you have spare keys for the upstairs rooms?
I have a skeleton key for the whole establishment.
You're going to lock the room of my companion. And you're going to go to the college. You're going to tell them there's been another incident.
Sort of incident.
You're going to tell them there's been another incident. And you are not going to go upstairs, and you are not going to go into that room, and no one else will.
She nods, sort of numbly, and looks up at Shagal, and you see him do a slow nod. She turns and goes inside.
And we're going to go find the diamond.
Do I get a sense of any direction from this?
I think I know where we can start.
Swamp?
Yes, but a particular area.
Which one?
Well, we're going to have to talk to the fisherman.
Why?
To find out which way Lucius Verne went.
I think we already got all the information we could. He just walked into the swamp.
Yes, but we need to know exactly where he walked into the swamp.
Can I try to remember, roll if I have to? I believe they told us the last time we were there where the approximate area that he went into. I think he said 3 days into the swamp.
Yeah, I was assuming that I just didn't remember where he actually went into the swamp.
Why
the
would-
location he began.
Sure. Why would you guys be seeking Lucius Vern in particular?
Because I had a theory.
Okay. You don't have to share it if you don't want to. Sure, you can roll to try and remember which way Lucius Vern went.
Wisdom?
That's annoying.
5.
5.
18.
Let's see, you were told the story a little while ago.
It's like our second day here.
And the instructions, the directions weren't very complex. I mean, they were pretty vague as to just 3 days into the swamp. So,
I'll turn to Shagal and get out the contract for the witches.
he glances over it and glances at you.
Witch heads. 10 coin ahead. 10 coin ahead.
He nods.
Only the aggressive witches.
He gives you a strange look. He says, witches aren't aggressive.
They might be.
You've dealt with these witches in the swamp before?
No.
Heading to the fisherman.
Begin
Right.
walking towards the fisherman.
Because you couldn't exactly remember, right?
Yeah, they said 3 days. I want to find that old man that we talked to that saw him go into the swamp.
Okay.
Okay. So you are headed out toward
So good.
out
The-
toward the river.
The entire time, I'd like to have the wand in my hand as just trying to get a good feel of what exactly it does.
Okay, that's fine. So as you leave the city, you do feel it pulse weakly in your hand.
As we leave the city, it pulses weakly. Weaker than it ever has pulsed before.
It's a little bit stronger.
So, pull up the wand and nod.
I'll nod.
So you are following the river and following it down to the fisherman's dock.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's later in the day at this point, but you do see some men out there pulling in boats, tying them up. There aren't a whole lot of them out here at this point, but you hear the voices before you see them.
Do I see the man that we talked to not 5 days ago, I do believe, that the older one that saw Lucius Vern walk into the swamp?
Riven.
Yes.
You don't recognize him. If you do, they all sort of look the same out there in their, peasant's clothes. When you do get up close, though, you can see he's not here. At this point, they see you and, have kind of stopped what they're doing to watch.
I'll approach one.
He nods up at you.
I'm looking for Riven.
He ain't here. Gone home for the day.
Gone home for the day. How long ago did Lucius Fern disappear? Years-wise?
Which story?
The one the fisherman told us.
The fisherman said that he went missing. Oh gosh, it was
Weeks.
weeks
Weeks ago.
before the witches became a problem.
Okay. Say, I'll give him a description of Lucius Fern. Say, do you know anyone that saw this man?
What do you think? He turns around and is kind of talking to the other fishermen, and one of them says that, yeah, I heard of someone like that going off in the swamp.
Do you know anyone that saw him go off in the swamp?
They all kind of look at each other and shrug.
Do you
No
have a
one here saw
spare
him.
Boat we can pay for?
You buy a boat from us. Give him your boat. And one of the guys, he nods back at his boat floating in the water, and it's all right. It's clearly seen some use, and is not the best looking of all of them.
How deep is the swamp get?
Pretty deep later on.
And did Lucius Fern, not Lucius, the man, go out on a boat, or do you know if he walked?
They all sort of shrug at each other.
Can I appraise what would this boat cost? Not much, right? Or, enough.
This boat, with all of the
I mean, it's his livelihood.
timber and everything, yeah.
Rental. You're borrowing his boat.
We'll take 10 gold for it.
Okay.
Comes with oars.
I'll give him a look, like I'm thinking about haggling with him, but then 10 gold.
Right, so he takes the money and puts it in a pouch on his belt. And when you kind of look over into it, you can see it actually comes with poles also.
That'll be useful.
And I'll go ahead and get in.
All right.
And I'll take up one of the poles and set it. And look.
I'll get an oar.
Okay.
Are you like on the back of the boat?
You might want to both use poles until you get into really, really deep water.
Okay. Poles it is. And Shagal.
Shagal has been kind of standing at the back this whole time. He stood a distance away while you dealt with what you're going to deal with, and you're just now honestly realizing that he hasn't joined you this whole time. And he is standing on the edge of the water, and his head's kind of swiveling back and forth. He eventually comes over, and all the fishermen kind of balk away from him.
I'll nod at him as if to...
He doesn't say anything. He steps down into the boat, rocking it hard as he does so. He's so heavy. And then he takes a seat.
Let's do this.
So, I'm just gonna head off and...
Strength, sorry. I'm gonna give it a nice push. 13 plus 3, so a total of 16.
All right. So the water's pretty shallow where you are, but it's murky. It's kind of hard to see through.
6.
6. No matter. You push off pretty easily. There are only 2 poles, so Shagal is kind of left seated on that middle bench. And right now you're in a fairly clear area. The swamp, the trees and things don't start until further back. But you're going to be pushing off into those trees. The river sort of flows around the outside and then blends and becomes the swamp.
Okay.
you have any lanterns with you? Anything like that? All right. It's because it is getting kind of dark. Shagal actually, as you guys are pushing off into the trees, he pulls out flint and tinder and sort of steps up beside you, rocking the boat as he does so. And he lights the lantern that is hooked over at the very, very end of the boat. And it creates a soft glow. You shove off. Okay. So, it doesn't take long for you to get out of the flowing water and into more still waters.
It'll probably be very difficult, but can I roll a passive survival to keep track of where we've been?
Yeah, you can try. Have at it.
Suppose that I'll do the same thing.
Maybe slap some water on the trees or something, I don't know. Break some twigs or... $11.
11,
15.
15. Swamps are not something that you've navigated before. This is completely unique terrain for you. Everything, unfortunately, looks the same. And I'm not sure if your plan is to go out and keep pushing on further into the dark as it gets darker and darker, or if you're doing a simple scout and return, and then you're going to leave in the morning.
It depends.
On the rod.
All right, so you think that you can find your way back. You're not entirely sure, but maybe a little bit. Shagal is you're watching him, and he has a small knife in his hand. And as you pass by these trees, I mean, you're having to pull between these close-growing, tangled, rotted trees, and they're close enough for you to just reach out and touch as you pass by. And your boat is small and narrow. And as you pass by, he's just dragging that knife across the tree trunks.
I'll look aside at you. The rod.
I'll have to put down this oar for a minute
Sure.
to really get a hold on the wand.
Boat slows a little bit. Will you roll spot while he's doing that?
Natural 20.
Okay.
So like 34.
Something shifts in the water, and you catch sight of it, and you see scales, really bumpy, jagged scales, glide through the water in these big, slow swaths. And then the scales disappear under the murky water, and bubbles come up.
I'll glance at it and I'll say, the rod?
The rod pulses, and it's stronger than when you were in the city. Much stronger.
There's something in the water.
There's always something in the water.
There's something big in the water.
I'll take up the rod, the oar thing. I'll start going again.
Right. You pull through the water. So, what you saw was on your side of the boat, because you're both kind of like this, and Shagal's in the middle.
How deep is it going down?
You've noticed that you've had to kind of feed it further and further down. You've got still a fair amount of a pole left. I mean, these poles are long.
Would I be able to guess?
The pole itself is about 12 feet long. And you have about 5 feet out of the water right now.
Okay.
We might be able to switch to oars.
Shagal has his eyes narrowed at the water, sort of on your side, and he's leaning over to watch. And you notice this because you feel the boat just rock ever so slightly as he leans over.
Are you saying
Heavy
anything?
guy. He nods.
Slowly pull your pole out of the water.
Shagal
He already knows.
chuckles. It's a low, rattly, deep sound. And he kind of gives you a grim smile and he says, "Snap lizards." And I don't think you've ever seen a crocodile or an alligator before, but he holds two arms in front of him and then it's like that. He says, "They won't climb in the boat, but
Don't fall.
don't lean over the edge." You pull on, and you actually feel your pole brush something under the water, and then there's a strange drag against it and then you see the water kind of churn a little bit as though you might have touched one of them beneath the surface.
I breathe out very loudly.
Okay, it is dark now. Your only light surrounds you about, you got like a 10-foot radius. It's not much at all. And Shagal has fed more oil, allowed more oil into the lantern to make it a little bit brighter, but you see him turn it up a little and he turns it back down as though he doesn't want that much light. The trees are growing really thick and gnarled together. They're covering your view of the sky and also how much starlight, how much moonlight is reaching you.
I'll stop
You stop.
and get
I'll
the wand
stop a
back
couple
out.
seconds later.
Okay. So you focus on it again. It pulses harder.
We're going the right way.
It was 3 days to where Lucius Verne went.
Would you like to continue on and find a sheltered area in the swamp, or turn around?
How long have we been traveling?
Oh, it hasn't been very long at all. 20, 30 minutes.
I will leave this one to you.
Shagal?
Snap lizards get brave at night.
Then I'll start pushing and trying to turn the boat.
Well, I mean, you could just turn around.
Yeah, you don't have enough room to...
Yeah, you're right. So sorry.
Well, just the description of what's going on. A reminder that everything is so close together. That you've literally at points had to grab hold of branches and then kind of drag your boat through them because everything is growing so close together.
Then I'll just turn around.
I'll, as we do, I'm gonna take out a knife. So Shogal has been dragging his along.
He's made very specific marks that are pretty distinguishable.
Okay, I'm just gonna hit the tree closest to us, facing towards the direction we're about to be going. Just a giant X.
Sure.
All the way back.
All right. You're pulling back, and Gideon, you feel that same sort of drag against your pole, and then you feel it kind of move as though something's bumped it. And then it catches.
I'll kind of
It feels as though it's stuck in something, and you feel it because you guys are pulling equally on either side, and you feel the boat kind of turn. Shagal looks over his shoulder at you to see what you're doing, and
I'm just gonna pull.
roll strength to try to pull it loose from whatever's stuck in.
15.
It is not budging.
I'll point backwards, don't pull.
I'll push.
You push?
I push.
Sure. You feel it sink deeper, like a foot deeper.
How much do I have out of the water now?
About 5 feet at this point.
Okay.
Now you have 4.
Okay. And then I'll try to pull.
Roll strength.
19.
Does not budge.
Jesus Christ.
Shagal kind of gets up and rocks the boat as he does, and he comes back to that end. As he's moving, he pats your back and kind of gestures for you to step over that middle bench and go to that side where Griffin is.
I'll go over where Griffin
Okay.
is.
So that lift that you felt, the boat evens out. Shagal puts both hands on the pole and pulls. And you see it come up like an inch. And then he frowns and he releases it and it stays where it is. He says, "Swamp mud."
I could have told you that.
Do you say that out loud? Okay. He moves to that center beam, sits down, pulls out one of those big oars.
I'll sit down, I guess, next to him
Okay.
on the opposite side and pull out an oar.
All right.
You guide us.
Off you go. Trying to find your way back. You don't have to roll survival because you're following those marks that Shagal made.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually you are out on running water again. And you can barely see the dock up ahead.
Head for it.
All right. So nobody's out there at this hour. It's completely quiet other than the running water and the insects. You row on up to the dock, and there's a length of rope in the bottom of it that you can tie it up with. Shagal steps out, and he says, "Tomorrow?"
Morning.
He cocks his head at you and he says, "Here or the inn?"
I don't know if we'll be able to meet at the inn.
Here.
"I will go back to the inn."
I'll nod.
Does there actually look like a place I can just camp out here?
If you want to. I mean, they did talk about that witch that showed up and, made off with one of the fishermen, like right here.
That's why I'm interested. Well, not really.
Are you wanting to camp here?
No, I suppose not.
Is your relief obvious?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll head back to my house.
Do the same.
Here, at dawn. He nods. He turns and begins striding briskly away from you, toward the city.
Go back to Griffin's house.
Right. So you end up following him at a distance. His legs are longer than yours. He ends up separated from you a pretty long ways until he's, sort of a small shape in the distance. You go back to your house. And Raph is there. He is asleep next to the fire that he's made.
I get some cheese and some bread.
Sure thing.
I'll go over and kneel down next to Raph,
Sure thing.
and I'll wait a second. And then I'll poke him.
You poke him? Okay. So, he's really out. And when you poke him, he kind of jerks awake and one of his eyes opens up. And he goes, "Oh, hi, friend."
Hello, Raph.
He nods. He stays on his back on the floor.
Oh, come on. And I'll shake him a little bit. Just wake up a little bit.
I'm awake. And he sits up, and when he tries to sit up, you notice the drunken tilt. He falls right back on his side again.
Never mind.
He stays where he is, lays his head back.
Did you already bolt the door?
Mm-hmm. I'm sitting down at, there's a table, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sitting down at the table and laying my weapons out and beginning to sharpen all of them.
I am going to sit in whatever corner, near that. Enough room to put my maces down in front of me.
Okay.
And then I'll just kind of look at them for a while. And then I'll find a place to lay down with them right next to my face.
Gotcha.
Parallel.
There is that bed.
Just the one upstairs?
Just the one. No, downstairs in this room. It's big enough for you both to lie in. It wasn't weird back then.
I'll point at it and say that you can.
I'll nod.
He's hard at work with that whetstone. Right, you go to sleep.
After he goes to sleep, I'm going to finish up sharpening my stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to reach into my pack and pull out that mirror,
Yeah.
and I'm going to like sort of lay it on the table and stare at it for a good long while before
Sure.
I eventually pick it up and slowly turn it around.
All right. You are now looking at the reflective side, correct? You see your own face mirrored back at you, if a little distorted. Nothing else.
I'm going to fix my nose
Okay.
because it's only been like 12 hours, right?
Yeah, your nose is in a pretty jagged position. So, you have your healing skill, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, roll that. What is it?
It's a 1.
Okay. So you
It's a 1.
you take hold of your nose, the bridge, and try to snap it back where it needs to be. And you do so, but then blood just starts gushing out of your nose. And it's pouring down your face, your armor.
I'll lean over the table, making sure not to get it on any of my weapons, and
Sure.
I don't know, I'm fairly certain I've run out of fabric at this point.
Yeah, all of your stuff is like on the table, right?
Yeah, but like I'll like kind of move it just a little bit so it can bleed right here.
Okay.
And then I'll just grab one of the items I've wrapped up. I'll grab like the collar, I guess, and unwrap that and use that to staunch my nose.
All right, so the blood is kind of spread over the table by the time that you're wiping it up, and you hear a voice whisper to you. And it has a strange echoing quality that you couldn't get in this house if you were to whisper. And it says no discernible words, but it is very clearly trying to communicate a message to you, and you feel... What are you rolling for?
Being cool. Or staying calm, I mean.
Staying calm.
I'll grab one of my daggers and turn to face the room.
Okay. You do. You see nothing. Raph is asleep, snoring pretty loudly on his back next to the fire. Griffin is lying on the bed, correct? No. Lying upstairs? Lying by the fire. He's lying by the fire. With his weapons in front of him. He also appears to be asleep. The voice, that sort of sinuous whisper, happens again from... still echoey, but from behind you. And you feel it demanding your attention.
I'll stand, turn, and
What are you rolling for?
I'll throw my dagger behind me.
Okay. Griffin? I need you to roll listen for me.
Trying to sleep.
Your dagger thunks into the wooden wall.
Total of 20.
Buries itself there. Griffin, your eyes snap open as you hear a pretty solid thud. And then you see Gideon standing with his feet spread, his shoulders back.
So my maces are right next to my head. I'll just slap down and grab one
Sure.
and then get up.
He is staring at the wall.
I look between you and the wall.
There is a dagger buried in the wall.
Why do you hate my house, Gideon?
I don't. I don't. I'll put the other dagger in my hand back on the table. I fell asleep and startled myself.
I'm gonna look at the table.
Sure.
Is there blood all over the table?
There's blood all over the table. It's down his face too, on his hands.
Oh, sorry. That's yours.
You fell asleep and startled yourself.
I must have tweaked my nose.
His nose does look a little bit straighter.
You must have fallen on it perfectly.
Well, no, I fixed it before I went to sleep, Griffin. I can pay for your wall if you like.
No.
I'll, reach over my chair and pull the knife out.
Sure. As you reach over the large wrapped object that you always carry with you, you hear that voice, sharp and hissing now. It's so loud that you almost cringe. Demand that you pick it up. And not with words, but just with you feel the intent.
So I'll stop as I have my hands wrapped around the dagger, and I'll flick my eyes down towards the package because it's just behind the chair, I'm assuming. Yeah.
Gideon, I'm gonna get up. Would you join me up the stairs?
I'll yank the dagger out.
Away from our good steward?
Almost as if in response, Raph gives a really loud and rolls over.
I don't know if good is the word. I'll put the dagger on the table. I'll leave my pack there.
Okay.
I'll leave my maces here. And then I'll go up the stairs to the landing and just kind of lean on the wall.
I'll follow you, right before I get up the landing, I'll flick my eyes back down to the pack. Has this happened before?
You don't remember the last time this happened.
Been a while?
It's been a long time.
When was the last time this would have happened?
Oh. Back when you were still kicking it with the order.
Okay. I'll flick my eyes towards it nervously and try and hide this from you, and then come up the stairs all the way.
No, I'm just kind of shaking my head. And then there's a railing, right? And I'll look down at Raph.
Mm-hmm.
Still pretty asleep.
Still out.
Gideon, I have been very forthright and honest with you. Now, I don't expect to know every little detail about whatever it is you have going on. But if you are running and hiding from something that is a danger to me or my wife, I want to know now. You're obviously hiding yourself under a given name. I cannot continue to endanger Is there anything that I should be keeping my eyes open for?
The people that are pursuing me
More than one.
believe I am dead.
If that is true, then why are they pursuing you?
I suppose pursuing is not the best word.
Should I expect someone or not?
I do not know.
If I were, what would I be looking for? So that I may not get a dagger in the back or whatever it is.
Honestly, there's no particular thing you could look for, nor I could look for. You do not wish to travel with me, Griffin. That is fine. There are a few things that I would like to keep to myself.
I didn't say you had to tell me everything. You threw a dagger in my wall.
I was startled.
You're paranoid.
Aren't we all?
No. I'll trust you to keep your eyes open for the both of us.
I do so well enough for myself.
I'm going back to bed.
I apologize for the wall.
Is that the wall that's needing to be repaired anyway? I'll wave it off. And then I'll go downstairs. And then lay back down. And then kind of look at the wall. And then close my eyes.
All right. You go to sleep. What are you up to upstairs?
Just staring at my pack.
Okay. So, do you sleep tonight?
I'll come back downstairs. I'll gather up my equipment.
Okay.
And I'll slowly sit down in front of my pack and see if anything happens.
You wiped the blood off yourself, haven't you? At this point?
I wipe the blood off myself and I wipe the blood off the table.
Yeah. You don't hear anything.
I glance over at the mirror. Is the mirror okay?
Mirror's fine. It's a little spattered with blood.
I'll wipe it off and I'll see how good I did on my nose.
Sure. It's not exactly straight, but it looks better. You could have another go.
I'll flick at my messed up nose
Oh. Okay.
and the pack.
Are you gonna roll to try to fix your nose again?
I'm gonna go up to the loft
Okay.
and try to fix my nose again.
Okay. Here we go.
$11.
Okay. So you kind of move it around, and eventually, you checking the mirror, you've moved to a point where it looks straight. A little bit of blood trickles out of your nose, and you hear the faintest of whispers.
I'll wipe it off. I'll go back downstairs
Okay.
and I will leave my pack where it is and lay down in the bed.
Okay. You go to sleep.
Yeah.
All right, gents. You sleep until dawn light begins filtering in through the shuttered windows.
I will wake up.
All right. Fire has burned down really low.
I'm gonna stand up for a second.
Yeah, it's pretty cold. It's pretty cold in here. Raph is still out.
Is there any timber at all?
A little bit. They're mostly sticks. I mean, Raph has not purchased any proper firewood.
I mean, we don't have any tools to poke the fire or anything, do we? I'll just throw all the sticks on there and see what happens. And
Okay.
so far, the fireplace has been kind of safe, right? Even though it's been disused.
Yeah.
It hasn't burned the place down.
No.
I mean, Raph drank a whole bunch and then slept next to it, so I'm sure it's fine.
Okay, so you build it back up.
I am gonna go over there and prod him, pull his shirt. Morning.
Morning. He rolls over and kind of sits up, rubs at his eyes. He winces when he turns to look at the windows, and the light kind of hits his face. He turns away from it, sits with his back to it.
I'll give him a moment of like waking up, and I'll say, I'm going to leave you a pouch of coin.
Yeah?
Find a builder
Okay.
and start the adjustments to the wall that was damaged.
That wall there.
That one right there.
Today?
Whenever you've successfully recovered from whatever this is.
Alright.
Ask him, whatever mason you hire, if it would be feasible to expand into the empty lot next door.
Oh. That'd be a lot of banging. I'll ask. He gets up, goes over to the table, and pulls out a piece of cheese and sort of bites off of it and just stands there. Kind of despondently chewing. Alright. How much money are you giving him?
I'm only going to give him 100. And I'll tell him to tell whoever he hires that if there's more needed, which of course there will be, I'll meet it. If anything, just to come survey.
He nods, kind of rubbing at his bleary eyes. Gideon, are you awake?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm doing one-handed push-ups,
Alright.
switching arms,
Oh, okay.
because I'm not going to get to go swing my sword around.
Okay.
I'll just give Raph a kind of look and then nod at him and then stand up.
Okay. Will you roll fortitude for me to not let your expression change whenever you do push-ups with your right arm?
Mm-hmm. 11.
You can't help but squint your eyes a little bit, but it's early. Who knows?
Whenever I did my first right to Aramesh, would Mintha have told me what I need to do from now on?
She didn't really explain much after that. It was more like an invoking of him at that moment. You have a feeling that Aramesh is all about bloodshed. Bloodshed and weapons.
Okay, so I guess I'll watch you, and then I'll be waiting, because it looks like it's about dawn, right?
Oh, it is dawn.
We should hurry.
Is the apothecary perhaps on the way out?
It would be a short walk of about 15 minutes to get there. And then that takes you away from the southern gate. So
How
that
long
leaves
would it-
you an hour almost. It's going to take you a half hour to get out of the city.
I don't want to keep Shagal waiting.
I'll nod as I put all of my weapons away. How many arrows do we have?
I guess brisk walk, if you're ready.
Sure.
Try and cut down the time a little bit.
We could do a jog. I didn't get to do my morning ritual.
You're welcome to try and jog. City streets are pretty packed. It is early, but a lot more people here. Again, you think it has something to do with the festival coming up. More
Once we
people
get
coming
outside
in.
the gates, then.
Sure. You get outside the gates and you're headed to the docks, correct? Alrighty. So you get out to the docks, and the first thing you see is a set of heavy dreadlocks and a pair of broad shoulders. And you recognize Shagal from a distance, standing by the docks. And the fishermen they're all at work, casting their nets into the water and that sort of thing, but you notice that they're sort of nervously glancing over at him.
Do I see Riven?
You do. He's actually kind of barking orders out and at the moment heaving in a really, really large net of what look like eels.
I'll kind of like tap your shoulder and like jerk my chin towards him. I'll approach. You seem like he's struggling with the eels?
No.
Okay.
Nope. He's got it. So he looks up at you. He seems to recognize you, and sort of dusts his hands off, or wipes slime off of his hands, and wipes it on the very front of his shirt, leaving 2 dark streaks. And then he reaches out for a handshake. He shakes your left hand, gives you a weird look. He says, "What can I do for you?"
We're wondering if you could tell us again whereabouts that mage.
It was a fine story. My friend wants to hear it. And I'll point at Shagal.
Shagal is standing at a fair distance, arms crossed, with a naturally surly look on his face, and is regarding the fisherman with narrowed eyes. Riven looks at him and kind of brushes his big bushy black beard, and he says, "It's your friend, is it? He's been hanging out here."
He's waiting on us. Apologies.
What for?
The story, please.
The one about the mage. Well, he relates the story to you of how a man with a huge mane of fiery red hair was in sorcerer's robes with a pack and some scrolls and a wand, and he just strutted on out into the swamp. And not from this particular area, but from further on where the flowing water ends and it becomes fairly shallow, and there is a little bit of marshy land that you can walk across. He disappeared in over there. And he says that they were fishing about 3 days out, and they found a pack, a wand, some other stuff. It looked exactly like it belonged to that sorcerer.
Do you leave that stuff there?
Oh no. Turned it over to the college. People like us have no need for wands.
Neither do I. I was just looking for a landmark.
His face gets very serious. He says, "It ain't safe going out that far in the swamp. You know that."
That's why I have these.
Why we've got him.
And my maces.
He eyes your armor. He says, "You'd do better in plate against the snap lizards."
Move slower in plate.
Sink quicker, too. He says, "One of my boys told me you bought a boat."
Aye.
"So you're really going out?"
Any tips on navigating areas to avoid? It all looks the same to me.
Well, to be honest with you, none of it's safe now. We don't go out further than half a day. What with the witches?
Would you suggest, and I'll point towards where he said the mage went in, where it was more marshy.
He shakes his head. He says, no way to get your boat through the trees. Don't know how the mage himself got through all the water without a boat. But they got their magic.
Is it possible to get to his campsite that way? And I point the way that we took last night.
It's the way we went.
Back the way we went.
Thank you.
Aye.
Go get in the boat.
I'll turn back to Riven and say, do you have a spare pole we could use? Ours got stuck in some swamp mud.
You said you turned back to Griffin?
Riven.
I was like, no.
He says, ain't got a spare one. Got one you could buy.
Well, yeah.
He nods. He walks over to the one little building that's out here. It's almost like a little lean-to. It serves as a sort of fishing shack. And he walks into it. You hear him rustling around, wood clanking against wood, and he comes out with a sort of beat-up pole. He says, it's 3 pennies.
I give him 3 pennies.
He hands the pole over.
I come back to the boat.
All right. Shagal is standing impatiently by the boat.
I'm gonna reach down and take out my boot dagger.
Okay.
And then whenever I take up a pole, hold it also in my hand.
Mm-hmm.
Hold it there.
What are you doing with the dagger?
I just want to hold it at the same time as the pole, so it's just like ready.
Oh, okay, I understand.
Can I do that? Is the pole that big that
Yeah.
I can't?
You can do it.
Okay.
You're fine.
You got giant hands anyways.
All right. Off you go. Off into the woods. Swamp.
Yep. Alright. Just try and follow Shagal's markings.
Does your goal let us take the poles again? Or does he...
You both have him in your hands by the time he gets into the boat, so I mean, he can't really take them from you. He doesn't suggest it either,
Okay.
unless you do.
No, if he doesn't, then I'll just get ready, start pushing off. Ready to go.
Alright.
All right. So, roll spot to look for those little markings.
It's like tilted up. 22.
Okay.
13. Your front.
Shagal, as you guys are looking around, he nods a certain direction. You steer the boat that way, and you glide into the trees, boat kind of scraping against the bark. And you're reminded that you're going to be in very, very close quarters once again with the trees. Little sunlight filters in through all of the leaves overhead, and even less light the further you go, to the point where you almost would like to have your lantern lit again.
Oh, that's what I meant to do.
Did you mean to light the lantern or leave
Yes,
it?
we'll light the lantern.
Okay.
What are you gonna light it with?
Shagal takes the
Well, I
hint.
mean, I have like camping equipment and stuff. Use that to light
Shagal lights it.
campfires.
Don't worry about it. He lights it.
You want me to?
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot. You just have. Whoa.
The lantern's lit. Bugs sing all around you. Every now and then you have to swat a buzzing insect away from your face.
Swamps.
If you watch the surface of the water, it's still, except for the ripples coming off of your boat. Every now and then you might spot something kind of gliding through the water, and at some point you do see one of the snap lizards that everyone was talking about. And it blends in almost perfectly with the landscape, and it isn't until Shagal points it out that you see it. And it's about 15 feet long.
I'll kind of jump.
Don't rock the boat, Gideon.
Its eyes sort of flick around, but don't. It's resting on a bunch of matted logs and things that are floating on the surface of the water, so it's a distance away from you. It doesn't react. So you continue on for 2-3 hours. How long would you like to go?
Eventually we'll reach that giant X I put on the tree, right?
Mm-hmm.
At that point...
That was a while ago, yeah.
Yeah, at that point, if Shagal isn't marking trees still...
He is.
Okay.
The whole way you go.
Then I'm just going to keep going until eventually I'll look back at you and say...
I'll ask you to stop so I can switch hands.
Mm-hmm.
I'll stop. Rod?
Well, you note that the water was getting really, really deep to the point where you almost needed oars, but then it became shallower again. And it's getting almost as shallow as it was out near the dock. You row on, pull on for another 20-30 minutes, and then your boat is actually dragging the ground beneath the water.
How deep does the water look?
You pull on and you feel the nose of your boat kind of ride up on something and then stop.
Shagal's in front, right?
No, he's in the middle.
In the middle.
I'm up front.
Gideon.
I'll, look over the edge.
Sure. So you see water, but if you look just a little bit further at the edge of your lantern light, you can see land. Marshy and muddy, but land.
We've got what will pass as land right ahead of us. I don't want to go on foot, but it might be our only option if we're going to continue heading this direction.
Well, we might hit another marsh. We might need to drag the boat.
I have rope. I guess rope comes with the boat anyways.
Shagal holds up a hand. Roll listen, both of you.
I'll focus.
Okay.
13.
Okay.
14.
So, while you're attempting to focus, because it does take a moment's transition, your hearing is interrupted by the loud voices of Shagal and Griffon speaking right next to you, so you don't catch anything far away. Shagal says to you, speech. And you don't hear it, but he says, witches. He nods. Ahead of you and kind of to the left.
I'll look up the way that he's nodding.
What?
It's outside of the lantern light.
Yeah.
Well, I know.
I'm gonna push the boat down, to just rock it for you, look back at me or whatever, and then
I'll get out of the boat.
Okay. The land squishes underfoot once you step out of the water, which kind of slogs through your boots. Ugh. You step onto the muddy bank, and Shagal follows. And he stops and listens again, and he says very, very softly, "Leave the boat."
does it look secure? I don't want it to float back off in the marsh, so I think I'm gonna grab it, pull it up a little bit,
Sure.
and then leave it.
We tie it to a tree.
When you try to pull it backward, your feet slide in the mud.
Can we tie it to a tree?
You can attempt to.
I'm going to attempt to tie it. I'm going to attempt that.
Okay. So roll, use rope.
One time that I don't invest in my favorite skill. 8.
8. All right. You wrap the rope around a tree, and you don't realize it until you start to pull, as you're trying to use that as leverage to pull the boat out of the water. You don't realize till it's too late that this tree is heavily rotted, and when you pull, the rope actually breaks the slim trunk that you've tied the rope to. It snaps loudly, and Shagal immediately draws his hammer from his back and then stands very, very still. Roll listen.
Focus really hard now.
You can try.
I'll try to focus hard. Oh my god. Just don't worry about it.
What did you roll?
Roll a 3 plus, like, is 12.
Okay.
25.
25. You hear, it sort of sounds like crying, but it's very, very muffled. It's a man's voice.
I'm gonna pull all my maces.
Okay. So, you're focusing, and the cicadas and the crickets are just everywhere. It is too loud, and it muffles
I'll stop.
that strange sound that you were trying to catch hold of.
I'm just gonna pull my bow and knock an arrow.
Sure. Shagal looks at the boat, shakes his head, and he starts. What is it?
I'm gonna point to me and then
Okay.
point. And then, is it really dark here?
Very,
But-
very dim.
Are his eyes shining?
I'm just gonna I have my mace in my hand, so I can't do any gestures, but I'll just
Like I'm taking point. Sure. He gestures to his eyes, and he's standing with the lanterns back behind him. Correct? You guys have not taken it off the boat. His pupils are enormous. Like the black almost completely fills his eyes. And you get the hint that he can see well enough, and then he gestures at you. He frowns.
I'll just kind of share a point with him.
He looks at Allistaire. And I mean, he's checking to make sure. Can you both see? Because I'm not taking that lantern. That's what he's meaning by it.
Oh. I'll nod slowly.
That's good enough for him.
I can see well enough.
He turns round and immediately just douses the lantern. You are now in semi-darkness. Off you go. So, Shagal is very clearly attempting to muffle his steps. Of course, he's a big guy, heavy guy, and his steps still do squish ever so slightly.
20.
20?
Unnatural 20.
Okay.
23.
All right. So, Shagal, recognizing that he's too heavy to tread really softly in this mud, he sort of just naturally falls back a little bit, leaving you and you in front of him. All right, roll listen. Because that sound is still going on. You catch snatches of it every now and then when it becomes loud.
I'm not going to try and focus or anything. It's very clearly not working. 24.
25.
All right. You hear that crying, and you can really focus on the direction it's in, and when you head off that way, you're still moving silently. I won't have you roll again for it. It becomes loud enough that you can tell it's very, very, very close. And roll spot through the trees.
27.
14.
All right. You can see past Griffin, because Griffin kind of slows and is listening. You slow also, and you see a movement through the trees, and it's of a person, but a tall, like 7-foot tall person, but slender, so willowy. And they're moving through the trees, dragging something behind them.
Towards us?
Sort of alongside you now.
So, Griffin stopped. I'll come up alongside him and just place my hand on his shoulder. And
You heard him before you felt him.
Yeah, I didn't I'll come up in your periphery and place my hand on your shoulder and point.
All right, he's pointed it out to you at this moment, so you can now see that tall, willowy figure moving through the trees. And you can see the shape of what looks like a person being dragged behind them.
Are they struggling?
No.
But we can still hear the crying.
Mm-hmm. It seems like it's coming from that person.
I'll nod.
I'm gonna roll to move silently again to
Okay.
slowly approach from the side.
I'll approach from the opposite side.
The whole time, Shagal has stayed put. Ever since you guys slowed down, he stayed a fair distance behind you, recognizing that his steps are just heavier.
I'll turn to him and
He is watching through the trees. He sees this, and he notes you. Okay.
21.
Stop that. So, you step forward, and Griffin steps forward alongside you, and you're gonna part and do a little pincer thing around this creature. And Griffin, when you step forward, you feel the earth move under your foot. And when you look down, you have stepped on a snake. And it quickly slithers out from under you, and you stumble. Roll balance.
Total of 20.
Okay. You have rolled balance and kept yourself from falling, but you have kind of slapped a foot down in the mud. The snake has turned on you and is now rearing up to bite you. And it's a pretty long snake.
I'll just kind of
How far
be
away
ready.
am I from him?
Right next to him.
I'm just gonna try and be ready to just parry the snake.
Okay.
I guess I already have an arrow drawn. How thick is the snake?
It's really close to you. It's pretty thick.
I'm gonna shoot it.
All right.
23.
Okay, so the snake's right next to you. And as you're bringing up your maces ready to knock its wide jaws aside, an arrow just hisses, and it's a very short sound.
It's a snake.
And it thunks through the snake's head and buries itself in the mud, leaving the snake kind of propped upward with an arrow through its head and its jaws open. And you see its jaws try to close, and those big fangs just drip venom. And then the rest of its body kind of rides up and goes still.
So real quick, I'm gonna look at where the figure is.
The figure is standing stock still, but not facing you. You see its head dip, and then you realize just how tall it is. It kind of looked, 6.5 feet tall, 7 feet tall. It's about a foot taller than that, because it leans down and you can see its head now. And it's sort of bent in this strange and natural position, like a person bends at the waist, and they kind of have a curve to their back. This creature has several joints of curve to its back, and it tilts its head. And again, it's sort of a silhouette from where you are. It's hard to see.
I'm gonna hide.
Okay. So roll to move silently.
Mm-hmm. 21.
Okay. You step very, very quietly through the mud. Roll to hide.
23.
You kind of sidle up just behind a tree.
Because you were kind of near me, right? Did I see you go to hide?
As
Yeah.
I'm like moving backwards to get behind something, I'm gonna flick my eyes towards the thing.
Thing's head is rotating. It slowly straightens up. Starts taking long, loping steps again, walking away from you.
I'll like peek around the tree.
It's leaving.
I'm going to put away one of my maces, slowly. And then, I guess, can I have the wand in an easy to access area? Like,
The what?
the wand.
The rod.
Oh, yeah.
Just pull that out in my offhand, or... Yeah.
You hear the rattle as it vibrates in your hand. You can hear it from where you are. It's a very soft sound, but you're really on edge right now. You're really listening.
So it's like, it's.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm going to put it away,
Okay.
pull out my mace, and then start walking away from wherever you hid
Okay.
in an arc.
Okay.
Same maneuver.
All right.
— 23.
23.
23.
All right. Begin moving quietly, snaking through the trees. Shagal keeps a long distance behind you. I mean, he is very wary of how heavy he is.
Good.
And as you're moving through the trees, you see that figure coming into view, opposite sides from where you're looking because you're coming around. Griffin, there's a movement to your right. Roll spot.
14.
It's another figure, dragging something behind it, tall. And you can see now that it's humanoid. It looks like a person, but just stretched out. And you see pale, dusky gray skin. It is dragging two things behind it, and seems to not be aware of your presence at all. You can see clearly what it's dragging. They are two people, and they're covered in mud and moss and everything, as though they've been dragged a long ways. But they kind of look like men dressed like fishermen.
From that spot, can I tell if there are any signs of life or movement from the fisherman?
You can
Could
roll
I-
spot again.
I'll move closer first.
Okay. Move silently.
22.
All right, you creep closer. The creature seems unaware of your presence.
Spot.
Roll spot.
24.
You can clearly see one of the fisherman's heads kind of tilting back and forth, and his eyes are open, despite his face being just covered in a mask of mud. He's seems semi-conscious, and he's looking around himself. Roll spot.
22.
There are 2 more figures off to your left.
Dragging people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna try and, how far away did you move from me?
If you can see me, then you can see that I slightly veered off the path. I'm looking kind of over there, if you can see me.
Mm-hmm.
How thick are these trees in the place we're at?
Really thick.
Really thick?
That's why, I mean, you have a feeling that these things were traveling alongside you for a while, but you just couldn't see them because they look like willowy, gnarled trees.
I'm going to roll to move silently and try and get ahead of the path and hide behind a tree in its path.
Okay.
$18.
So after I see the ones to my left, I'm going to try and find sign of Griffon to see if I can't communicate in some way.
Roll spot, see if you can see him.
22.
You see a sort of more broad-shouldered than these creatures, shape lower to the ground, moving through the trees. You're moving silently, aren't you? And he is moving with a quicker pace than you both initially set, indicating that he's changing plans somehow. You move ahead of the creature.
I'm just going to wait and try and bash in its knee.
Okay. Roll spot while you're doing that.
13.
Roll listen then.
25.
You hear sort of gibbering moaning. It's like someone's in pain, they can't clearly articulate it, and you track that sound to another creature moving. It's further off, but all of these things are moving in the same direction, as though they are sort of traveling as a pack. And you realize that there may be more than just these 2. Or 3, counting the first one.
I'm just keeping track of where Griffon is and moving along.
Sure thing.
Then instead, I'll try to time my moment to duck back around the tree as it passes.
Okay.
Or just to push up against it and just kind of see if it'll just walk past me.
All right. So you push back up against the tree.
Roll hide?
Roll hide.
Ooh, okay. 19.
You hide.
Pull my cloak a little closer.
Yep. And be that cinematic moment where the camera's looking at you and you're right here and you see the shape move past in the background. You hear a loud echoing kind of pass through the swamp, and then you hear the same noise repeated a couple of times back and forth at different volumes, different pitches. And they continue to walk on.
They only do this once?
Mm-hmm. But you do hear the sound behind you too.
Okay.
As soon as I feel like he's enough away, I'll try to reconvene in a kind of close path to where I would guess.
I mean, I've been tracking you, so once I see you, I'm going to begin moving towards you.
Right. Reconvene. Do you want to move silently? More so than you have been?
I mean, I suppose I can.
Okay.
Now that I know there's more. 25.
So, you catch sight of each other. Sorry, did you want to do something?
Can I move at the same rate of silence as
Yeah,
I was
that's
earlier?
fine.
Because they weren't hearing me, so I think I'll be fine.
That's fine. You reconvene, catching sight of each other, and then moving slightly back.
So I'll try and throw up a couple fingers to show you, like, a count on my side.
I'll do give. Well, I'll point towards the one we were originally tracking him and say 2 more and point to my left.
I'm going to look around for Shagal.
Sure. Roll spot.
Oh, please be covered in mud.
Total of 20.
20.
Don't worry about it. It's not as good as that.
What'd you roll?
15.
15. Neither of you see him.
I'm just going to keep following
You're gonna keep following
the creatures.
the creatures? Alright. Gentlemen, we've reached out of game. 9:30.
Oh my god.
You've reached 9:30.
I'm so scared.
I think that at this point we could push the session further, but I would like to go ahead and cut it. And we'll pick up where we left off.
Because if we get into combat, we'll be here for at least another hour and a half.
Yes, that's exactly why. But
So, wind down. You guys haven't seen us fight yet. But an interesting thing to know is that it's very easy to die. Like that snake. I was told you were. I thought you. I was worried you were gonna die.
yeah, me too. I really was. I really was a little
I'm
worried.
gonna die on a move silently.
Yep.
It's very easy to die
Yes, it is.
because we don't use health, and because we don't use health, it makes encounters very dangerous.
All it takes is one.
One arrow,
Yeah.
one bite from a poisonous, venomous creature,
One bolt.
one bolt.
To be told you have 60 seconds before you're either paralyzed or dead. You don't
Depending
know.
on the poison. Yeah, you guys really dove into it. You headed out into the swamp a lot quicker than I thought you would, and that's okay.
Well, I mean, because
It's
of
exciting.
recent events, and I mean, Allistaire just wants to get the diamond.
Yeah.
Like, just finish this.
I know. Here, I'm gonna drag.
So close. Oh, do you have a picture
Wait, no, I'm not. Never mind.
of the... No, wait. I'm thinking of something else.
Everybody's like, cliffhanger. Muchpod says, God Griffin, stop almost dying.
The what?
He told you to stop almost dying.
You mean the snake and then...
Broomsy says, get it together, Griffin.
Where's Broomsy?
Yeah, I was really worried about that snake, to be honest.
Oh.
Then why
Yeah,
did,
I'm
then
So
why'd
what
you give me a
did you-
snake?
What did you... Oh, I didn't... It's not my fault. So you gave yourself a snake in the end. What did you guys think about this whole thing? I mean, you went to talk with Myrnin and all sorts of junk.
I tried to portray the way that I felt about the Mirin conversation with my posture, because there was a point whenever he said, whenever he was like, actually, well, we have the jewels, where I was like, is Myrnin Sage a Black Court dragon? Like, I sat back and I was like getting ready to run.
Oh my god.
And then he was like, no, like, I got punked. And I was like, oh no.
Gonna turn some music on for us here.
I relaxed a
So we
bit.
have a,
Do you know why I want him to read me?
Me? I know why you want him to read you. Not entirely sure why you, or if he knows. I don't think you've talked to him at all. I don't think anybody but me knows.
Ooh, it'll be a surprise for everyone.
Baron says, I'm more concerned with Allistaire hearing creepy voices.
That's gonna be great. I'm not concerned about that at all.
No, I'm not even worried about it.
It's not like I haven't heard that in 3 years or anything like that.
Oh, Machpach says, good job, Griffin, on talking nice and clearly. Getting better with not being quiet. Yeah, it only becomes a problem, I think, when you guys are
I'm trying for
sitting back.
positioning.
And I'm trying to make sure that I'm louder when I'm leaning back.
Yeah, I thought you guys were good. I was watching the mics sometimes, and I didn't see any problems.
See, here's something I want to say. No matter how many critical failures I get, this is always going to be Griffin's dice. I'm not mad at you. Don't worry. You give me plenty of 20s.
I'm real pissed at you.
Baron says, lol, Jake, you make the best faces too, by the way. You have a very expressive face. It's not hard for me to tell what you're thinking. So a lot of the time.
Same.
Ma'am.
Dagger of the wall.
Everybody agrees. Machpach is like, oh my god, I know, right, Baron? And Psycho Teddy's like, he does. Best expressions ever. Aww. Aww.
Look at his little eyebrows.
Yeah, it's not that one. I can try to.
Stop that.
I can try to, wait, this is me trying to lift my left eyebrow.
Oh.
And that's the right one.
Yeah.
So
I can only do this eyebrow.
Myrnin said that he's got some sort of arrangement going on. Some sort of forced arrangement with Prince Ezra. I wonder what it could mean.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, he basically just straight up said that he tied him to... He and Glau had a forced arrangement, is what he said, right?
Gaius Glau, the Archmage of Crescent Keep.
Oh, yeah,
Archmage of the Southern Kingdoms. Not just the city.
Yeah, that was the forced arrangement, or the bad position he put them in, right? I'm assuming that he soulbound them.
I don't think that they would have technically had a problem being soulbound together. They seem like they're pretty reliant on each other.
I'm just glad that he was nice.
Yeah, he seemed to be kind of ready for you to come visit.
Well, yeah, because he needs something.
I
Would
don't
you
know
like to
if
tell
he
everybody
necessarily...
exactly what an augur is?
Oh, sure. I don't know if he necessarily needed something, but someone in communication with him obviously needed something.
Oh.
So, an augur is a type of soul caster, technically. They're not really casters, but they do use soul magic. Augurs have the ability to astral project themselves into the past, or if they're really good, into the future. And Myrnin Sage is Crescent Keep's resident augur. He's sort of second to the Archmage, even though he's not technically a sorcerer. So he's a really important guy within the Crescent Keep College. And that's what he does. Hear Brimsy moving around in there.
Brimsy. Yeah.
Oh, let's see here. I can't wait to see Griffin in some action. Varen says, I love the lich lore you guys are playing with. Most people won't touch liches because of the fear of TPKs.
They're little. Yeah.
Hello, Brimsy.
What's up? What's up? Gideon says, Machpach, please, from here on out, slap Griffin in the back of the head every time he freaking thinks about using that damn ring.
Wait,
Oh.
That was a joke out of game.
Yeah.
Because I knew
I know what
which
you're
ring?
talking about now.
the fire spouting.
The fire.
Oh, the
opal
fire
stone
ring.
plate
Yeah,
ring.
yeah. I don't think
It's a
actually. I
cool
didn't
ring.
actually. I assumed that you were talking about your gauntlet.
Yes, Machpach, Brimsy is here.
I haven't used that gauntlet
He's-
since I used to raise.
He's
really
drinking
badly.
lemonade in the kitchen.
I'm actually really worried about it.
Damn, a lot of stuff happened. It was.
So I'm actually really glad to be on some kind of objective. We've always been on an objective, but this is a little bit more
You guys have some specific information now.
Oh yeah, I know. We're not just like
grasping at
stumbling
straws.
about. Like
our days don't consist of walking into taverns, drinking, eating, pulling papers off of a board, and then not doing anything useful.
Myrnin Sage, have you seen the Black Dragon? Have you seen the Black Dragon? Have you seen the Black Dragon?
Has anyone here seen the Black Dragon Court?
Have you seen?
Oh God.
Prince Ezra, have you seen the Black Dragon Court?
No.
No.
Maybe.
He's actually in dragon form.
No.
No.
Well, if you do.
He just bites me
He's a dragon smoking a pipe. He's like, no.
in his claws.
Well, I'm a dragon slayer, and I know them really well. So if you do,
Yeah, I got you.
You're hiding something.
No.
His tail slashes in the background.
No.
oh god.
Oh, Much says, oh my God, potential new player. Maybe Much. We're thinking about it. We have some things to consider before bringing in somebody new at all, and it's really a tech issue right now. As you can look at our camera thing we got going on over there.
Mm-hmm.
There we go, because it's opposite for me.
We need an upgrade.
We need an upgrade so that everybody can be seen clearly.
So if you want to support the stream,
So we need to look into a different lens and maybe a new mic, so that we don't just have one mic for 3 people. I would love to share my mic, but I'm on the other side of the room, so it makes it a little difficult. But it could be super cool.
at the very least, if you want to support us, just share us with your friends. Anybody who would be interested.
Mm-hmm.
We should be getting into some combat soon. So if you have people, friends that really just want combat,
You get to see Allistair pull all of his punches all the time, which is always
Maybe.
fun.
I don't know how
have
long
not
you're going to be wanting to do that
gone
pretty
to
soon.
a full rage in a long time.
Ooh, mm-hmm.
By the way, I was trying to go back on a path that I used to be. Griffin did some character development recently before we went live, and that was taken out of the world. So I'm trying to find the balance of what he was before the changes. I apologize.
Can't even tell.
Varen says, I also want to figure out the deal with the ritual circle of blood. I can fill you in a little bit on
Oh,
that.
yeah.
It was not something that was streamed because we were, playing offline when this happened. I guess just the whole deal that
There's a warlock following me.
there is a, well,
Or
maybe
Regan.
not necessarily following you, but
Not me, but
there is a warlock, and he or she is causing trouble in the Southern Kingdoms. And this person has essentially inspired a new purge between the sorcerers and the paladins.
would you like to start when Regan and Heidoff went to the meeting in Dragon's Crown? Or do you not want to go into all that detail?
I don't think we need to go into all of that detail.
Maybe later I'll
But-
tell you in-game.
Maybe. But anyway, there is a big to-do with the sorcerers and paladins. I'm sure you've, at some point, seen a couple of the facts pop up about the,
I stopped by Dragon's Crown and on live, right?
I think so, about the war I was saying. But, there's a lot of stuff going on between sorcerers and paladins. I think maybe you would have noticed that there's a lot of secular magic here, a lot of secular casters. There are no paladins. There are no temples, no churches, no nothing.
In Crescent Keep.
We're talking about here in Crescent Keep. So, anyway, the warlock that has inspired all of this mess, this new war between the 2 groups of casters, has, for whatever reason, or character reasons for this other character, Regan, who used to travel with the group, has taken an interest in the party. The warlock has either killed or kidnapped Regan, and seems to have either killed or kidnapped Heidoff at this point, the other party member. And that symbol, no one's really sure what it means. The guys at the college might, but they haven't shared that information with our party at all.
In their language, it's a dick.
It's a what? What'd you say?
It's a dick. In their language. Just
What?
a dick on the ground.
Oh my god, I really...
No, I know. I take it very seriously.
I had no
promise.
idea what you were saying. Sorry, it took me a second. It's...
Sorcerers are gonna hate this.
No one's sure what the symbol means in the party, but they've seen it twice now, and the first time was whenever they came back to the inn they were staying in with Regan. They left Regan in the room. They came in. The room was completely destroyed. Furniture was overturned and splintered, and there was a huge symbol on the floor. And Regan was gone.
Maybe we should stop going to taverns.
Maybe we should stop traveling with people.
My house! Raph!
Oh no! Who's gonna do your stewarding now?
But yeah, that's essentially what's going on. So there's a lot of stuff going on. There's a
Would
sorcerer.
you like to tell me a little bit more about how secular casters came to be?
I could in just a second. There's a lot of stuff going on. There's a warlock who is trying to cause problems for everybody that Griffon is trying to stop.
I'm not trying to stop him. I'm trying to stop the thing he's trying to summon.
The warlock is, to Griffin's knowledge, attempting to summon some sort of creature from one of the infernal planes. And that's bad. That's really, really bad. So he is attempting to, with the knowledge he has of this creature being weak on its current plane.
Do I know that? In-game? That's awesome that I know that in-game.
It's weaker than it would be here.
That's why we're doing
Once
it
it gets here,
Would that be because it would be on the same plane as its caster? Or is it just more powerful here? No, the caster would be more powerful with it here.
Universals?
You aren't sure. You don't know anything about it.
They'd just be able to tag team.
Well, you don't know anything about it.
They're doing all those cool.
You
tag
don't know
team
anything about it.
like Batman moves from like Arkham
No.
City.
So he's attempting to, and I'm not sure if he's talked about this on camera at all, but he has this crown, or he is needing to get this crown. He had a crown at one point that was a crown of planeswalking. And he can't use it until it has all of the jewels of Algrenin in it, because it's Algrenin's crown. He needs to find all of those jewels.
It's a badass crown.
It is a
too, by
badass
itself.
crown.
It's like antlers.
It's made of antlers.
Do you still have the crown?
I'm working on that.
So he needs that crown. He needs all the jewels, which are hoarded by the different dragon courts all over the place. And he's going to use that crown, put it on, travel to wherever he needs to travel to, and hopefully take out this thing.
Wait. I just thought of this.
What?
Am I going alone?
I don't know. Who all can wear that crown?
Just me? Or one person?
You don't know how it works. So
I'm just gonna pull up a chair, some popcorn, crack a cold one.
that's the big overarching thing that needs to be done. They're trying to get some of those jewels right now by doing this task for Prince Ezra Vath, the Black Court King Prince. He seems to have stolen them from his father.
And then
Let's see here.
I know where the other ones are.
Oh, Varen, I can't talk about Jareth or David Bowie just yet, but maybe in a couple of days.
No,
That's really cool.
Why would you do that?
Maj says, so I like elemental type magic. What category would I be a part of in your world?
Man.
Elemental magic is cast only by witches. Solely by witches. Nobody else can do it. I mean, you can see sorcerers do fire and stuff, but it's not, if you were to be able to observe it with perfect eyes, from an arcane perspective, say a dragon's, then you could see that it's not true fire. But a witch could summon real fire in its entirety. Or lightning, or water, or earth. They're elemental, and it's the true elements.
I think that Maj would just be a magician.
Oh, boo.
Hey, remember how
Really
I was
awful.
going to the blacksmith and I ate that loaf of bread? I was thinking of you and your NPC, the
Oh.
baker.
Yeah,
Mosh has an NPC somewhere in Crescent Keep
you totally do.
named Samaj. Last name Mongolian for baker. Baker.
Samaj.
I have that written down somewhere.
Samaj Tamaj.
Samaj,
Tapaj.
Tapaj.
No.
Samaj Tapaj.
Tomato,
Oh my-
Topanga.
Tomato Topanga.
Maj says, I like magic, but play a paladin in WoW. Magician, but Kappa. Yeah, you could be a badass paladin. You really could. Paladins are really cool because of all the gray areas in this world. So it makes it, I think, a lot harder from a player's perspective to play one, because you really have to use your own moral compass about what you think's right or wrong. And sometimes that doesn't always mean the greater good. Sometimes it does. You gotta figure out what your philosophy is really and really understand it.
So just randomly,
Yeah.
how did everybody enjoy everything overall? Audio, you said it was better on my end. That's good.
Video quality is one thing we haven't really talked about. How's that doing? How's that?
Oh, Maj, you're funny.
Video quality, the level of the ambiance is a good. I think the Dungeon Master is doing a great job over there in her box.
Thanks.
But we can't exactly hear what it's like on your end, so if you ever have any feedback, just let
Can't
us
see what it
know.
looks like.
We'd like to perfect this show for you.
Yeah, was there an okay balance of, I was playing kind of that low, rumbling, ominous music earlier for a while.
It was so good.
I was playing that, and then there were swamp sounds, cicadas and things, and then running water. Was there an okay balance between all of that, or were the cicadas too loud, that sort of thing? I'm just curious, because I mean it looks all the same in my browser and in the streaming stuff.
The broadcaster.
The broadcaster.
Broadcaster.
It looks all the same. Amance is awesome. To be honest, I think Caitlin can handle the chat and stuff herself just fine. Oh, I've been ignoring it mostly, so I don't really look at it. Sometimes my eyes can't help but go over to it, but I really try to not focus on it at all. Music's been pretty good, blending in, leaving gently. Thank you. I dragged the volume slider so that it fades out. Video's good. Maybe use the art as backgrounds. Love the cams as sort of foreground.
We're thinking about filling the black space below
Love cams.
us with the chat room, because it's kind of nice to see the chat room when we're rewatching the videos and see what people are saying exactly, because we can't see it now.
Mm-hmm.
And that would make it to where the chat room is always there and it'll fill that black space.
Mm-hmm. It might look kind of cool if we had the all around us in this black that everyone can see me touching but not you. To have
the environment
in the background, or a picture in the background, and we could also have the smaller picture in the foreground so you can see the detail of it. But
Yeah, because it might be odd.
I don't know
to
if that's
have, like,
possible with our design that we have going on.
No,
It's
No.
something to think about in the future.
we can't.
We can't do it. Never mind.
I'll
Sorry.
tell you why technically in a little bit.
Okay.
Let's see. Yay for green screens. But yeah, if the scenery art was used as background, with your talent of playing the music, it would look great, in my opinion.
Did we ever go to large picture this stream?
I didn't.
That's a wide
I
picture.
forgot a couple of times to do the large picture when it mattered, so then it would have felt weird for me to,
Okay.
suddenly transition into it, so I didn't do it.
Yeah, because
But-
we do know that some pictures are hard to see.
Yeah.
Could we pop over there for just a second to show?
Well, you want me to pop over to it?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh god.
F8.
It's F8, yeah. Yeah. So it's a lot of detail that you guys didn't really get to see. Sorry. I will remember next time. I was just so into it, Just sort of forgot.
Yeah, but she still does a phenomenal job
Thank you.
controlling the entire world and then the stream.
Thanks. Varen says we're all beautiful, so we could call it the love cam if we wanted to call it the love cam.
Love cam.
I think that's what...
Love cam?
That's my baby.
Love cam.
Do you love cam?
Do you think you could love me?
What you doing in my
Venus.
waters?
What you doing? What you doing in my waters?
That's what that really tall guy says when it comes
No,
to over to us.
I know.
He's like,
They're not all
what-
old Greg.
What you doing in my waters? And we're like,
They say it in
Who
unison.
Not fishing.
dubbed it love
Not
cams?
fishing.
It was Dune. Dune dubbed it love cams.
Love cams. All right. they're
Love cams.
now.
not fishing.
Not fishing.
What's this
What's
stick
this
doing in
hook?
my swamp?
What's
Harry,
He
man.
pulled out
he
the one
says
you got
something about
stuck
the
earlier.
hook, and he's like, it's my hook. It's your hook.
What's this hook doing in my head? Or something, I don't know.
Oh, it's attached to your rod, mother licker.
There it is.
That's what he says.
Doing
Do what?
it. Are we on the love cam?
I can pull you up into a big cam.
No, I don't
Me
want to
too.
be on the big love cam.
No,
the
we're
love
we're
cams.
both
The love twins.
visible.
Okay, I wasn't sure if
Wait.
it was just the picture or not.
God, it's so weird to do it over here because I know that my screen's mirrored.
Imagine that there's a mirror over
Give me your
there.
fingers.
That kind of works. We could do the same thing. Fusion.
Do it.
Fusion. Oh God, Majpaj and Varen don't want to share us with each other. Share. Psycho Teddy says, Gideon hears a thunk behind him. Ever drink Bailey's out of a boot? That's what the voice whispering was. Oh,
In the
God.
house.
Turns out Raph is actually old Greg.
We never said what was in my package, right?
No.
I kind of don't want to.
No, I
have
didn't
a
reveal your secret.
I have a
It's
secret.
a fishing rod.
I have a secret package.
Yeah, by the way,
It stays
guys,
wrapped in canvas.
don't know if you remember this, but Allistaire Gideon carries this really long wrapped package on his back all the time, and it's sort of cylindrical in shape. You know,
For those of you that
Never
read my
unwraps
bio,
It's a telescope,
it's not a
so
telescope.
we can look in Mintha's window.
Yep, well, maybe. Huge pervert. That's probably that's what it is.
do it, Gideon.
Do it.
Okay.
She's beautiful.
Oh, God.
You don't have to tell me.
Oh no, there's Radu. Can I stop?
No. Get the other one.
Varen's quoting you. He says, I have a secret package. Jake, 2016.
In the next Riddick movie. I've got a package.
I can't even
I can't even do Vin
Diesel's
Diesel.
voice.
Just like,
I wish I could.
Oh, his voice is so great.
got a package.
You
Coming
have
to
to add
theaters.
more rumble.
2017. Jake. Fuck, I just forgot your last name. Hensley?
Hen sleep.
Hensleep?
Hens.
Oh man, we got
sleep.
we got a fair amount of people in here. It's
Oh, thank you for everybody who's
yeah,
watching us.
It's,
Oh, yeah,
it's really
absolutely.
cool. I'm so glad you guys stuck around. It's really neat.
we get any new
Combat
followers?
next time, maybe.
Yeah, our newest follower is Mr. Jog.
Hey, Mr. Jog, and for everybody else that followed us, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
That's cool beans. That's
Sorry
really
we
cool.
don't talk during the session. We're really focused.
Yeah,
Because I don't want to die. Snake.
and I don't want to accidentally kill them because I'm looking at chat.
Okay.
Like, you rolled what? It just kills you.
The snake bites you. What?
Oh, Mr. Jog says it's nice to see some real role playing.
Ooh.
Thank
MJ.
you.
Ooh.
Thank you.
That's the idea.
That's the idea that we're going for.
That's the idea.
No, but seriously, thank you so much.
Oh, Varen says, by the way, I think I have actually met Kiefer briefly at Dragon's Lair.
I also go to Dragon's Lair.
What?
What?
We
What is
frequent
this?
these places.
Dragon's Lair in Austin, Texas?
Mr. Jog says, I'm sick of watching hack and slash on Twitch.
What?
Mr. Jog says, I'm sick of watching hack and slash on Twitch. Numbers this and that, you know. You
Numbers
guys
this
were a
and
breath of fresh air.
Take me to church.
Thank you. That's
I think
it's really what we're going for. Okay,
That's okay.
Varen, are
I
you
get
saying
it.
yeah to the
I think you said yeah.
to Dragon's Lair in Austin?
Were you an
Because
employee?
I think there's one in San Antonio.
I haven't been.
We
I
haven't
have not
been to the
San
one.
Antonio's
in-
Dragon's Lair.
San
It'd have to be
Antonio.
here.
He says I was there. Oh.
When?
I was there for an event.
What event?
MTG.
MTG
L5R.
L5R.
He said L5R?
Mhm.
That.
We're all
Wait.
trying to figure out what that is.
Wait.
Wait, give Jake a second. I just won't read it if you say it.
L5R.
L5.
But Mr. Jog, it's really cool that
Left, 5 right.
that you're into this because it's
Left 5 right.
it's
I don't know.
really it's
I
what
don't
we
know
do.
what that is.
We like combat for sure. It's Legend of the Five Rings, says Varen.
Oh yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
yeah.
I know what that is.
Yeah.
I don't personally play. I'm a magic
Yeah.
kind of person.
But as I was saying, it's really cool that you're into the role playing and that sort of thing. We're really role play heavy. We do like combat. Combat's a whole lot of fun. It's very, very fast paced. I'm pretty excited to get to it. I am nervous though because I get nervous about any encounter. I mean, that snake could have killed Griffin. It made me very nervous. But I think it's gonna be really cool. Combat's fun. We do roll every now and then. You've seen us. We rolled plenty this time. We just didn't hack or slash anything. Don't swallow that. So it's really cool that you're into it.
You might have met me. I've been to Dragon's Lair a few times. I haven't been in a while. The last time we went, I believe it was... I don't really go without the Dungeon Master, and sometimes we go with Jake.
Sometimes.
So my hair has been like this for...
a long time.
going on a year, so you probably would have recognized me exactly.
I was afraid he was going to swallow his dye.
I rolled my tongue at the back of my throat like Kovis did for me.
Oh, Moshpodge says, major serious question for you, Caitlin.
Here we
I'm
go.
ready.
Here we go.
I don't know, maybe I'm not ready.
Major serious.
Caitlin, what are you gonna do?
Teddy says, I love stories. It's what drew me to tabletop to begin with. Bard lovin'. I love bards. I cannot wait for them to meet a dilettante. I'm really excited for that sort of thing to happen. Dilettantes are bards that both sing and play an instrument at the same time, and they're really, really, really powerful. Like legendary powerful. It's pretty cool. Oh, Maj says, what happens to the stream and stuff if one of them dies?
Then we probably make a new character.
We hold a ceremony, and we all cry,
Mm-hmm.
and then we make a new character.
Because Griffin's been alive for 4 years.
We don't want anybody to die, for sure, but I want people to feel the squeeze. I want them to know that it's a good chance that you could die.
If I ever die, I want you to have to do like at least 2 sessions alone. Just so that the audience like really gets it.
He's really dead.
We are worried. I am worried because it is a party of 2 fighters, basically. No magical inclination.
Hey, you got Shagal with you.
Fighters, 3.
Shagal.
As far as I
Fighters.
know.
And I'm squishy. I'm squishier than you guys are.
Yeah, it's gonna be a challenge. Baron says I make characters all the time. Our characters are.
Took me.
Our characters are. They take a long time to make.
Do you mind me saying real fast?
Go ahead.
I'm very invested in Griffin. That's it. Also, at one point in time, I said that I hate bards. That was in-game. That was in character. I personally don't really have much against bards. In-game, I've had some run-ins.
So making characters, Maj, you know all this. We've talked about this for hours. When we make a character, I sit down with them, the player, and I'm there for every step of it. There are people who will make a character and bring it to their DM, GM, whatever, and be like, "This is what I made." I sit with my players the whole time. Let me see what you've done. I sit with my players the whole time, and it's mostly it's not a power thing. I'm not like I need to know everything about your character because I want to. It's more like let's fit you in seamlessly in the world and make sure everything makes sense because the world is so detailed. So, I sit with the players the whole time. We talk about from birth to where they're going to enter into the party in game. And sometimes that takes days to do.
It took you and I 3 days with like 6 to 8 hour sessions. And then I worked on it for a week after that. And then I touched my character sheet.
Yeah, and don't get us wrong. We love doing it. I mean, it's so much fun to do it. And I understand it's not necessary, but to really make someone feel like they're rooted in the world, for me to go ahead and make NPCs that this person will already be attached to in the world, it takes a while to make realistic people. And
sometimes it adds more to the world.
And it often adds so much more to the world. Like I didn't expand heavily on the Order of Thorns until Jake made his character. I mean, they existed in the world and they went about their business, but I really, really delved into it whenever he made his character because it was applicable. So It's stuff like that. It's fun, but it is a daunting task to make a new character if one of them dies, you know, because you have to get over the initial heartache of your character being dead, and then you have to go through the struggle of making a new one.
Which I feel like at this point I'd feel like I was betraying Allistaire.
I know you're dead, but
Like he was gonna come and stab me or something.
yeah,
I'd wake up and I'd just hear, I stab him.
I stab him. That's a joke he keeps doing. Sometimes I'm really worried that he means it in game when he says it,
I've cut back on it
and
after the
it freaks
stream.
me out. He's cut back on it. But
stab him.
it still scares me because I still don't really know what Allistaire has going through his mind. Aaron says, I spend 2 to 3 hours building one.
It's more than a lot of people.
It's more than a lot of people. It definitely is. Traditional players and stuff like that. They're in a swamp with Slenderman-like creatures. Death feels pretty imminent the entire time.
Hey, I've
It's
gotten
awful.
I've gotten out of some
In a
sticky
good way.
positions before.
Okay,
Yeah?
That's not gonna always work.
It's,
She's gonna kill you one day.
She's gonna kill me.
The
as soon
world
as
will
I'm
kill
too
you.
Foolish.
it is. I want to make clear right now that the philosophy I have is not DM versus players. I know that the world can seem really mean and gritty and nasty a lot of the time, but that is simply the world. That I swear is not me on any sort of sadistic kick.
You gotta be smart.
You gotta be smart.
The 2 times that I almost died were because I messed up royally and just did the wrong thing. Like, put my sword in the wrong position while dueling someone.
Yeah, that goes into a whole nother shtick of stuff. It's cool when you know how to really use your weapon, because I take that into account, you know. Varen says, because I don't have a set DM, I'm on my own for a lot of the process.
That's what my brother does, actually. My brother just generates character after character after character, so that anytime somebody was like, hey, you want to play? He's like, yeah, sure, what system?
Yes, whips out a
he has
character
like
sheet.
folders. He has like a folder marked Pathfinder, a folder marked 3.5. So anytime someone's like, hey, you want to play D&D? He's like, yeah, what do you want me to be, a bard or a fighter?
Bard or fighter, or both.
I have a bard fighter.
I have a bard fighter.
How many drow? Varen.
He made a half-drow druid tonight.
Like a Underdark mushroom half-drow druid? Or like a... I don't know. I'll just let you tell me. But yeah, I guess I don't really have much more to say unless there are any direct questions. Oh, here's one thing.
5 drow, 3 dragonborn, says Varen.
That's awesome.
Keep going with the drow.
Just keep doing drow. I mean, Dragonborn, they're cool,
They're cool and all,
but drow.
drow. 2 half-elves, 1 human. More drow. Needs more drow.
For myself, we have the Twitter account for True Neutral, right? At True Neutral Prod, and that will be, the Dungeon Master. You can expect answers from them. Her.
Me.
I also have a Twitter account for myself and for my character. Did you do that? And if you'd like me to try and answer stuff in character, you can tweet me at Son of Hadar. I'll do my best on that media to answer in character. If I don't answer you, I probably didn't think it was in character.
And then I'm going to be making a similar account. And if you want to ask me questions that I'll answer in character, you have like a 50% chance of
I stab you.
like silence
I stab you.
or being stabbed.
I stab you.
It depends.
Aaron says he is a surface world druid, but his favorite wild shape is a giant spider.
Giant spiders.
Spitters.
Are
Spitters.
horrifying.
That's pretty cool.
Thanks, Maj, for linking all that stuff.
Let's see, what time is it?
Yeah, I don't think the
11:09.
Twitter command is updated yet because not all the Twitter accounts are ready to go, but that's the idea.
Well,
So yeah, I guess that's it for us tonight, unless anybody has any questions or last comments.
that was a
And
solid wind down.
if I end up closing all of this down before you guys ask your questions or whatever, you can always message us on one of the many different platforms.
Tweet it at us.
Tweet it at us. Anything. And if you missed those other episodes we did, because this is episode 4. If you missed 1, 2, and 3, which we did on Saturday during our launch, they are in our archives here on Twitch. You can catch those.
Real quick, we are going to leave all of them archived, and hopefully they're not muted, because the first 3 are really not muted, but sometimes some of the ambiance we use gets caught, and if we notice it, we're going to really work on putting them up on YouTube in a good quality. That's what we're working on right now. We haven't really worked on it because it wasn't necessary. The archives are pretty good right now.
And I mean, we just did this Saturday, and unfortunately, none of us do this for a living. So
Yet.
Not yet.
Mr. Jog says, looking forward to next week. It's really cool that you're into this.
Yeah,
It's
super
really
pumped.
cool that you're pointing out the stuff that you like, and that's the stuff that you like is what we really want people to know us for. Dune says, see you guys again soon. Bye, Dune. Thanks for stopping in. Psycho Teddy, excited for session 5. Yes.
Gonna get some action.
Varen says, sad I won't get to see the next one live. Varen, that does suck. We wish you could be here. But, you know, you can always message us, tweet us stuff if you want to talk to us. I guess you have your vacation going on right now, so that's why you're able to watch us, but work will pull you away from us later.
Keep an eye on our website for upcoming content and teaser information relating to the party.
Yeah. Oh, did anybody do tarot? I wonder. Maj says, I do not know if Damon wants me to post his personal Twitter. In connection to this, I don't think so, right?
I'm okay with it. I'm following our Twitter. Like, it's like for my personal Twitter would be questions out of character,
Yeah.
and then Aslan of Hadar is in character.
There's the character
Sure.
Twitter and the player Twitter.
Sure,
And then
it's-
basically True Neutral Prod is the Dungeon
it's
Master,
whatever.
the holy universal voice
Oh, Spinks.
echoing
Spinks.
in the universe.
Echoing into the darkness of
Yeah,
time.
at Damon Shar. And if Maj wants to spell it, you can go ahead.
You hear that? You have at it, Maj Paj. But yeah, tweet us,
And then
message us.
Whenever yours are ready, we can actually tweet yours. If you want.
All right, guys. I think we're going to wind it down. Again, thank you so much.
Here you go.
Oh, Varen, I could always sneak up to Austin and stalk you guys. That's so funny.
It's so
I can't
funny.
even. Don't do that. Do not do that.
Go look at the blinds.
He's gonna be like Allistaire in game.
It's a dark elf.
It's a drow. At that point, we'd be like, come inside. Just come inside. We're gonna be
Whoa!
We have some mushroom.
Check
That's
it
some-
out.
We have some wine
mushrooms.
made out of mushroom distilled
Yeah.
mushrooms.
You
You
ready
know?
to trip ball?
Yeah.
We have some roasted roth. However
Ro-
you-
Roth
Is it roth?
is R-O-T-H-E. Sometimes they put an accent, a goot
Yeah.
over it.
Rothlessburger.
It's
It's-
under
What you guys
dark
are trying to say.
cow.
Under dark cows.
Like
They're
Brahmin?
Like, kinda, yeah.
Hairy, I think.
Hairy Brahmin.
They're like, yeah.
Are they hairy?
I think they are. I think they're very hairy.
I thought they were just furry, like all of the cows.
I think they're specifically long haired, but I'm not entirely sure.
Oh, kind of like yaks. Okay. All right. Cranking the music down.
Alright. It's been a pleasure.
Been a pleasure.
Until next week, goodbye from Aldros.
Yeah. Bye, everybody.
From our table to yours.
Our table to yours.
Good night.
Bye, guys.